The kid with this grumpy little face is our main character, Zeke Eldragon. Don't underestimate him just because he's a newborn baby right now. In his previous life, he was Gilfa's Eldragon, the clan head of the strongest family on the continent. As for why he's showing up in this tiny newborn body, it all goes back more than 1,000 years. He had reached the absolute peak of martial arts, but then he realized a human lifetime would never be enough to truly surpass that limit. He clung to an ancient legend. Deep inside a sacred holy land, guarded by a divine dragon, there was supposedly a golden metallic fruit hidden away. That fruit was said to hold the power of immortality, the fruit of eternal life. With that thought burning in his mind, Gilfas fought and defeated the dragon god, finally laying eyes on that miraculous fruit. He dragged his wounded body forward to the tree and quickly plucked the fruit. With this, I can still pursue the absolute peak of martial arts, Zeke said happily before chomping down on it without a second's hesitation. This was Gilfas Eldragon, the man known as the strongest in the world. Time flew by several decades later. Inside some rooms, sorrowful cries kept echoing. The main issue is time. He's already so old. At least let him rest in peace. Sitting by the bed was the eldest son of the clan, William. He kept calling out to his father. Seeing that pained expression made Zeke in his frail old body speak up. Stop making that pathetic face. My time has simply run out. Hearing that, William joked through his tears. This mansion feels so cold without mother or you around. Zeke shook his head lightly. Don't be so weak. In his heart, he added, in the end, those legends couldn't be trusted, but I'm still lucky I had a good wife and obedient children. He reached out to stroke his grandson's face and continued. My beloved children, I Gilfas have lived long enough. I have no regrets left. On the surface, that's what he said, but inside, Zeke was fuming. Don't make me laugh, of course I have regrets. If I could just have more time. If only I had more time. I still haven't reached the absolute peak of martial arts. Gilfas's trembling old hands reached upward. His son couldn't hold back his tears seeing the sight. And so Gilfas Eldragon's life came to an end, at least that's how it seemed. After who knows how long, Gilfas suddenly woke up. Confusion hit him immediately. Did I fall asleep? These wallpaper patterns, aren't these from the annex building? My body feels strangely light. And what are these tiny hands? Gilfas stared in shock at his minuscule infant hands. These are a newborn's hands. I've been reborn as a baby. The realization made even the world's strongest man break out in a cold sweat. After a few seconds, he calmed down a bit and tried to steady himself. Phew, calm down. To drag someone like me, who reached level 10, into this bizarre situation without me noticing anything. This is clearly not normal. Who could have done this and how? As he thought about it, a sudden flash of insight hit him. Could it be that fruit? I get it, the effect of that fruit wasn't immortality, it was reincarnation. I never saw that coming. But this is actually great luck. Now I can finally witness the absolute peak of martial arts. Thinking that, our protagonist couldn't stop grinning like an idiot. He glanced around the room. There were countless cribs filled with other sleeping infants. With this setup, Gilfas quickly pieced together his situation. Let's see, there are other newborns sleeping here too. I'm in the annex, so I've reincarnated back into the Eldragon clan. But why are so many newborns gathered in one place? Just as that thought crossed his mind, a group of maids entered from outside carrying a large container of red liquid and several empty milk bottles. While they poured the red solution into the bottles, Zeke quickly analyzed. A maid from the Eldragon clan looks like it's feeding time. Makes sense since this room is full of newborns. Unaware of his inner thoughts, one maid said, "Get ready." "Yes, ma'am," another replied. Right after, they somehow produced a goblin out of nowhere and shoved a milk bottle filled with the red liquid straight into its mouth. Their actions left the protagonist baffled. Why is there a goblin here? What are they planning to do? As if answering his question, the goblin's chest suddenly glowed red-hot like molten steel. Then its chest exploded outward, splattering fresh blood all over Zeke. He just stared dumbfounded. Huh, what just happened? Over there, the maid continued. If we dilute it this much, it should be safe. Hurry and feed them. Yes, ma'am, the others replied and quickly moved to give the newborns the red liquid. Naturally, Gilfas couldn't escape the fate either. And since he just witnessed what happened to the goblin, Gilfas was panicking hard. What? They're making us drink what? This isn't milk, what is this liquid? It contains an enormous source of power. Feeding something this dangerous to newborns is insane. Even as he thought that, the moment the nipple was brought to his mouth, Zeke's body instinctively opened up and started suckling greedily. That made Gilfas furious inside. Damn it, I forgot I'm a newborn right now. Next, as the red liquid went down, Gilfas realized what it was. This is ancient dragon blood. What are these idiots thinking, making us drink this? So that's what they meant by diluting it, for this very purpose. This is bad, I have to spit it out. I've already swallowed some, but such a small amount probably won't kill me. The other kids are instinctively spitting it out too. I need to do the same before I explode. But is this really the right thing to do? Zeke wondered inwardly. But right after, he realized, this is a jackpot, here's the opportunity. If I absorb all this energy, I can surpass even my previous self and finally reach the absolute peak of martial arts. I don't know why this is happening, but I'm seizing this chance. Don't underestimate me. Don't underestimate Gilfas Eldragon. Zeke roared inwardly while gritting his teeth through the pain brought by the ancient dragon blood. His brows furrowed tightly as he thought, don't underestimate Gilfas Eldragon. The maid noticed him gripping the bottle tightly and exclaimed in surprise, this baby. Zeke frowned, cheeks puffed out, sucking hard as he thought, I'll absorb every bit of the ancient dragon's power, and then I'll finally reach the absolute peak of martial arts that I couldn't achieve in my previous life. In his mind, an ancient dragon spread its wings and roared endlessly. Its eyes glowed golden as it stared at the silhouette of another dragon. Zeke saw the ancient dragon clamp its jaws around the other dragon's neck in confusion. What? This power is being absorbed so easily. It's shocking. No, this is perfect. Outside, he lay in the soft crib, frowning as he looked around thoughtfully. Somehow I managed it. Zeke lay inside, sensing energy from the nearby cribs and pondering. The other kids seemed to have survived too. Can't underestimate a newborn's survival instinct. Damn it, sure enough, an infant body. After a while, he sucked on his finger and drifted off to sleep. Suddenly so sleepy. Time passed quickly. 7 years later, deep in the forest, a counting voice rang out. 998, 999. Zeke braced one hand on the ground, a boulder strapped to his back as he did push-ups. Then with both legs, he kicked the boulder high into the sky. Next, Zeke swiftly leaped aside to dodge as the boulder came crashing straight down from above. The former Eldragon clan head Gilfas, now Zeke Eldragon, lowered his head to look at his own hands in admiration. Still such an amazing physique. All thanks to the ancient dragon blood. In his mind, he recalled the current world. Every living being possesses some kind of power. Zeke thought back to that bottle of blood he drank long ago. The ancient dragon blood fed to him and the other newborns, containing an endless source of power. He remembered that massive energy and pondered. The children who consumed it to varying degrees gained physiques far beyond ordinary people. Zeke sensed that flowing energy and mused. Combined with the divine dragon power I defeated in my previous life now residing within me, Zeke, the only child who fully absorbed the entire ancient dragon's power, had undergone changes that even surprised himself. He closed his eyes and sighed inwardly, but I've only reached 1 star. Zeke lowered his head to look at his hands and muttered, only reaching 1 star is terrible. By now, I should have at least hit 4 stars. Stars are the source of power one gains when pushed to certain limits. He felt the energy radiating from inside his body. The body is like a universe with twinkling stars within. The more stars, the greater the power, but the more stars you have, the harder it becomes to create new ones. Zeke clenched his fist tightly and reflected, and in my previous life, Gilfa's Eldragon reached 10 stars, an unprecedented record. He was the only one in the world to achieve that power. He brushed his hair back and murmured, but time really flies. It's already been 7 years since I reincarnated as the illegitimate child of the current Eldragon clan head. Zeke thought of her and him. My mother passed away and my father has never once appeared. I question his qualities as a father, but more than that. He scratched his face, suddenly making a questioning sound. 1,000 years later, huh? Zeke recalled the scene of the maids feeding ancient dragon blood to the newborns and thought, reincarnation alone was surprising enough, but waking up 1,000 years later, before I could even grasp the flow of time I'd been reborn into, this world has become a place where only the survival of the fittest is tested to the extreme. The clearest example is exactly this. He thought of that clan chair, forcing newborns to drink ancient dragon blood. It's a ritual called the Dragon's Trial. Zeke thought of the survivors and mused, only those who survive this trial can receive education as true Eldragon warriors. That's how it should be. He turned his head and saw a maid stepping out to look for him. Zeke stared at her and shouted, I'm afraid I can't answer that question. He thought back over the past 7 years, no instructor had ever come to him. Zeke, face full of excitement, roared at the maid, isn't that weird? Those who pass the trial are supposed to get combat training, right? But here it's only maids. She looked puzzled and asked back, is there a problem with that? He stammered in surprise, no problem, but Zeke pointed his thumb at himself and shouted loudly, right now, physical training is more important to me than learning combat anyway. I can handle that on my own. He put one hand on his hip and looked at the maid inquiringly, but at least I want to know a little about the other kids or the main clan, don't you think so? She replied coldly, I'm afraid I can't answer that. Zeke frowned and asked again, I'm just talking about clan matters, you get that right? She closed her eyes and responded, I'm afraid I can't answer. Hearing that, his face immediately darkened as he shouted, is that all you can say? The maid frowned too and replied coldly, I'm afraid I can't answer that. Zeke put both hands on his hips and yelled, isn't treating me like this a bit too harsh? She bowed respectfully and answered, we are only ordered to take care of your daily needs. He stared at her thoughtfully. This maid is at 3-star level, just basic combat training would be enough with one servant like her. Right after, under her puzzled gaze, Zeke turned and walked away saying, fine, whatever, I'm heading into the forest. Living together for 7 years with only minimal interaction like this is way too abnormal. At that moment, he turned his head back and asked suspiciously, finally ignoring me completely, huh? After that, Zeke walked quickly alone into the dense, deserted forest. Next, he swiftly yanked a small tree out by the roots. Zeke immediately stuffed the whole thing, tree and grass, into his mouth and chewed vigorously. Right away, he stuck out his tongue and groaned, poisonous grass still tastes awful disgusting, but this counts as training too. He glanced around while chewing nonstop and muttered, patience, patience. Zeke looked toward the bushes behind him and whispered, but lately someone's eyes keep following me. I really wish I could do something about it. He exhaled and shouted forward, well, I didn't expect them to show themselves over something this trivial. Seriously. If you have something to say, come out and say it directly. Right after, Zeke pursed his lips, quickly approached that spot, and pushed aside the bushes to check. Inside the bushes, faint purple lights flickered in the air. He crouched behind thick foliage and peered over, whispering, something's over there. Zeke saw a wild boar entirely shrouded in black mist and thought, that's a berserk wild boar. He frowned, staring hard and wondering, black mist, something that didn't exist 1,000 years ago. What the hell is that thing? Suddenly, the boar turned its head and stared straight at Zeke. Its whole body emitted black mist as it fixed its gaze on him. Next, it charged straight toward him at high speed. Zeke's face lit up with excitement as he grinned toward the forest. Right after, he leaned aside to dodge it. Zeke's eyes gleamed as he raised his fist, gathering golden light, and punched forward. He struck hard with full force, sending the berserk boar flying backward a great distance. Zeke lowered his head to look at the glowing light on his hand and exclaimed, just a light touch against something at the same 1-star level produced this much power. He immediately hoisted the boar's corpse onto his shoulder and left, thinking, the quality of stars really matters a lot. I'm starting to get tired of being abandoned like this. Should I set out to explore? Zeke left the forest behind and walked quickly away. If I want to go somewhere, the sea is the first place. Behind a tree, a man gripped his staff tightly and thought to himself, what's going on here? Even without proper training, he used 1-star power and defeated a berserk wild boar in a single blow. More importantly, he detected my hidden presence. That kid is not normal. He thought about Zeke. Mother died early, father doesn't care. How could a child like Zeke receive proper education? Still, because the clan blood flows in him, he can't escape the clan and is always under surveillance. The man sat cross-legged on the ground and muttered, even if he's an illegitimate child, he still carries the clan blood. Is that how it is? Things are going to get interesting from here. Right after, his figure vanished instantly, leaving no trace behind. On the other side, at the small house where Zeke had grown up since childhood, he tightened the strap of his backpack on his shoulder and asked suspiciously, who are they? 3 at 4-star, 1 at 5-star, all seasoned warriors. What do people like that want here? Zeke stood outside the door, pressing his ear to the wood and listening to the discussion inside. The air out here in the countryside is really fresh, Captain. No gaps nearby, so probably not much chaos. They don't seem to have bad intentions, at least it doesn't look like an assassination attempt. He pushed the door open forcefully and asked, what are you people doing in a place like this? Zeke looked at the emblem on their clothes and thought puzzledly, the Eldragon clan crest, what's going on? Right after, the man quickly stepped forward. He removed his hat, placed a hand over his chest, bowed respectfully and said, this must be our first meeting. We've come to escort Zeke. The young master Zeke must participate in an examination. Zeke was startled and asked suspiciously, an examination? Right after, he widened his eyes and mouth in shock, letting out a loud huh. Inside that small wooden house, Zeke's incredulous voice echoed everywhere. Even though I've never been taught anything properly. Zeke crossed his arms, stunned as he looked up in amazement. I never expected to be going back to the main manor. After that, I was brought back to the main clan by messengers sent from the main house. The maids saw that and quickly reminded Zeke, you need to change clothes, you can't enter the manor looking like this. At that time, he was stunned. Can't enter, but isn't it to live in the main house? Speaking of which, that thing called the Dragon's Lair. Seems like over the past 1,000 years, the Eldragon clan has established a specialized educational academy. Zeke recalled what he knew before. All those born into the Eldragon clan aim to join the Dragon's Lair and are educated at home until age 7. Today is the entrance exam. He smiled confidently to himself. Well, I'm the kid who hasn't been properly taught anything. Zeke's legs stood straight as he looked around observing. Right after, he suddenly squatted down, holding his head in frustration. Even so, participating in the exam is mandatory, so I've been dragged from the border back here. Zeke couldn't help remembering himself back then. Why did this happen right when I was about to leave? After all that preparation, everything gone. While he was squatting on the ground, a voice suddenly came from behind. A boy with gentle blue hair bowed slightly and asked, Rangi's from Ordsel village, are you okay? Something wrong? Zeke looked up confusedly. Who are you? The boy explained awkwardly, I'm Rangi's, you didn't look well so. Zeke's expression stayed indifferent as he stared at Rangi's. The boy was radiating some kind of energy. Zeke assessed inwardly, this kid looks timid, but he's pretty sharp. So Zeke suddenly stood up and said, aw, sorry about that. He gave a friendly smile and introduced himself. You're Rangi's, right? I'm Zeke. Then Zeke complained loudly, I have no idea what they plan to make us do. Rangi's awkwardly hugged his own arm and said, the exam content hasn't changed for years. But Zeke replied indifferently, aw no, I don't even know what the test consists of. I have zero foundation. Hearing that, Rangi's paled in shock. What? Rangi's thought inwardly, not knowing anything about the test is way too reckless. Is he okay? So he started explaining to Zeke, today's test includes but suddenly a shout came from afar, "Hey, that weakling Rangi's." Rangi's heard it and turned around in fear. At that moment, another guy walked over with a thuggish look. This one was Retin from Ordsil village. He spoke contemptuously. "A weakling like you, why are you even here? Lost, go home before you get hurt." Rangi's answered awkwardly, "Of course it's for the dragon's lair entrance exam." Hearing that, Retin sneered, "You." Retin clutched his stomach, laughing mockingly in his face. No way, you getting in? Your dad's a pseudo-dragon, right? What can the son of a pseudo-dragon even do?" At that point, Rangi's hand clenched in anger, trembling. Zeke noticed it too. Speaking of the Eldragon clan's hierarchy, there's a clear order established by the absolute sovereign, the prime dragon. Next comes the juvenile dragons, the mature dragon captains, the high elder dragons, and at the very bottom are the pseudo-dragons. Those who can't join the dragon's lair or can't graduate, called the immature ones. He lowered his head in anger inwardly, "But I want to prove that we're not fakes." Right then a voice rang out that startled him. "Why, how can you be so sure without even trying?" Zeke quickly stepped forward in front of the three. Retin saw that and snarled contemptuously, "Who the hell are you? What, got a problem?" Zeke answered mildly, "No, just asking why can't Rangi's." The guy pointed straight at Rangi's and said, "Obviously because he's weak." Zeke's face twitched slightly at those words, "Weak." Zeke stared at Rangi's and assessed, "He's actually way stronger than you guys." Hearing that, the guy was stunned, eyes wide. They got angry and immediately cursed. "What did you say? You're saying we're weaker than that failure." Right then, footsteps approached suddenly. Two men appeared and shouted, "Attention." This one was the dragon instructor. He said sternly, "The dragon's lair entrance exam will begin now. Candidates must register in order, then proceed quickly with your number tags." Retin stopped arguing with Zeke, passed by with a warning, "I remember your face, you bastard." Zeke watched him go and sighed helplessly. Did he really need to get that mad? Kids these days are so quick to anger. Behind him, Rangi spoke awkwardly. "We're the same age, right?" So he bowed his head slightly and continued, "Who wouldn't get mad hearing someone say I'm stronger than them?" Zeke looked at Rangi's and replied softly, "I see." Then he crossed his arms and stated the obvious. "But this entrance exam is mandatory, right? So saying things like impossible or whatever is pointless." Rangi's asked in confusion, "You can really withdraw? You really don't know anything, huh?" Zeke answered, "You can quit, I had no idea." Rangi's gave an awkward laugh and said, "You should withdraw too, at least that way you won't get hurt." Zeke didn't explain further, just smiled and rubbed his chin. "Someone at my level can't withdraw even if they tried." Rangi's couldn't help admiring, "You're really confident, even without knowing what the test is." Zeke laughed cheerfully after hearing that. "Whatever, hurry up, we need to move or the test will start." Rangi scratched his head. "Ah, yeah, right." After that, they hurried to where the instructor was. He said, "The test is very simple. If you can scratch this rock, you pass. No weapons allowed except what we've prepared, but bare hands are fine, just make a scratch appear on the stone." The instructor held up 3 fingers with a smile and added, "However, you only get 3 attempts." Hearing that, Zeke couldn't help exclaiming, "So simple." Rangi's was startled. "What?" On his side, Zeke thought inwardly while recalling, "Just need to scratch the rock, right? After going through that insane dragon's trial ritual, I thought some terrifying test was waiting, but this is totally anticlimactic." Right after, the instructor over there shouted coldly, "Begin." Next, one boy rushed forward and struck the rock with all his strength. Rangi's on the other side still couldn't hold back and clutched his head in fear. Next came another heavy impact sound, but suddenly something shot out and the boy's hand started bleeding. Zeke's group on this side watched in shocked horror. The kid let out a cry and collapsed flat on the ground. The instructor walked over, noted something down, then asked, "First attempt failed. 2 tries left, do you want to go again?" Seeing no movement from him, someone nearby smirked, "Guess he's giving up, clean him up." Then right in front of everyone, they dragged the boy away. Next up, Rangi's beside him was still clutching his head in terror. Zeke felt anger rising as he muttered, "So this is the test." He couldn't help murmuring while staring at the thing, "What the hell is that rock anyway?" Rangi's quickly explained to Zeke, "It's called the Rebirth Stone. It instantly regenerates even the tiniest scratch. Plus, when attacked with pure physical power like that, it reflects the blow back with hundreds of times more force." After hearing that, Zeke pondered, "Isn't that material way too unreasonable?" Rangi's added, "But if you circulate your power properly throughout your body and strike, it can be scratched." Zeke understood and felt a bit confused as he calculated. "Got it. From what I've heard, the martial skills you learn are way less important than mastering power control." His eyes glanced around again. At this point, everyone present was tense, staring downward. Seems like very few could pass the test, even those guys from earlier. Over there, another miserable scream rang out. The kid was crying in fear. Number 51 failed next. Then another teenager failed too. Number 202 failed next. Tags kept dropping. The instructor emotionlessly continued writing on his sheet. Then he spoke again. Next, number 315. Zeke looked at his tag and said, "My turn." Seeing that, Rangi's worriedly told Zeke, "Hey, don't you still have a chance to quit?" Zeke just waved at him and stepped down. "Don't worry." Rangi's watched from above, tense and speechless. Over there, the instructor pointed him in the right direction, still holding his pen ready to note. Right at that moment, the instructor's eyes showed astonishment. From behind Zeke, a powerful surge of energy radiated. He gave a slight smile. "Weapons are on the rack." Seeing Zeke step into the arena barehanded, the dragon instructor asked suspiciously, "No weapon?" Zeke confirmed, "Yes, no need. This fist is enough." On the stands, the candidates buzzed. That guy's planning to use bare hands. Even if he's good at power control, he can't scratch that rock barehanded. His fist will get smashed. Rangi's paled when he heard someone say, "No, forget the fist. He might lose the whole arm." He inwardly blamed himself. As expected, I should have stopped him more forcefully. The instructor didn't force it. "I understand. Then begin." As he touched the rock, Zeke inwardly assessed, "This is really the first time I've seen a mineral like this. It must be something formed over 1,000 years. There are way too many things I still don't know. Oh well." He steadied himself, "No problem," and immediately swung his fist. Rangi's panicked and stood up thinking, "This is bad, I have to stop him." So he shouted loudly, "Zeke." Meanwhile, Zeke was extremely excited. "With this, I can unleash my full power right now." Rangi's watched helplessly as Zeke showed no sign of stopping. The technique Zeke used at this moment was the Dragon Ruin martial art, first form, explosive strike. In the blink of an eye, the rock exploded, debris flying everywhere. The force was so great that even Rangi's on the distant stands felt terrified. The dragon instructor stood frozen. The outcome far exceeded imagination. Zeke smirked arrogantly, as expected. "This technique is still a bit too much for my current body. I still need a lot more training." The stands fell deathly silent. No one had recovered from what just happened. After a moment, Retin angrily shouted, "He shattered the rock." Meanwhile, Lika admired, "Interesting." Rangi's was still dazed, unable to believe what he'd seen. Then he cried out in shock, "What?" Beside him, the instructor inwardly assessed, "Impossible." He punched away half the rebirth stone. That can only happen at 4-star level or higher, yet a kid did it. The dragon instructor doubted inwardly, even if he's illegitimate, does he really carry main clan blood? But that technique just now, I feel like I've seen it somewhere before. Seeing him dazed, Zeke asked, Examiner, how was my result?" The dragon instructor immediately declared, "Number 315 passed." The assistant instructor brought over the prize. "Here, take this." Zeke asked curiously, "What's this?" At the same time, the assistant whispered, "Can you hurry up? I still have to clean up the scene." Zeke stomped his foot in annoyance. Is everyone in this era always in such a rush? Calm down a bit. Rangi's ran over with admiring eyes. "Zeke, that was amazing. You shattered it." Zeke grinned smugly. "It was pretty easy." Remembering the prize, he asked, "Oh right, Rangi's, what is this?" Rangi's looked up. "It's a recovery potion." Zeke grew more confused. "Recovery potion?" Rangi's happily replied, "The regular kind." He held it up to examine. "Doesn't seem like poison. Don't tell me this is some spiritual elixir." In truth, it was cloud-piercing clarity, the potion made from extremely rare ingredients. More specifically, it contains herbs that only grow in secret realms, plus cores filled with highly pure power from divine beasts and illusionary beasts that are incredibly hard to defeat. The specific effect is that when used, not only fresh wounds but even old scars heal instantly, and it shows massive results in boosting power reserves. However, due to the extreme difficulty in gathering materials and the incredibly complex refining process, it rarely appears. Zeke decided to take a sip of the cloud-piercing clarity to see if it felt any different. Unexpectedly, the wound on his arm healed in an instant. He was very surprised. "This really is a spiritual elixir," Rangi's explained. "I don't know about spiritual elixirs, but the recovery potions the Eldragon clan prepares are definitely better than the ones sold normally." Rangi's hesitated and asked, surprised, "Huh?" Zeke answered honestly, "Of course I'm surprised wounds this serious healed instantly like that." But he felt a little disappointed. "It seems like it doesn't boost power reserves the way a true spiritual elixir would." Rangi's replied, "To me, Zeke, you're way more shocking." Zeke muttered inwardly, "What are you even talking about?" At the same time, he realized something. No, this really is humanity's accumulated knowledge over more than 1,000 years. Meanwhile, Rangi's kept praising, "You're seriously incredible. Zeke, you're insanely strong." Zeke replied casually, "Well, I'm aiming to become the strongest." Rangi's grew even more admiring. "You say stuff like that so calmly." Down on the arena, the results kept rolling. Number 373 passed. Number 395 passed. Number 405 passed. Hearing the outcomes, Zeke inwardly sighed in admiration. Them passing was expected. Next, number 414. Even though he was terrified, Rangi steeled himself. "It's my turn, I'll do it." Zeke shouted encouragement loudly. "Hey, why are you so nervous? It's fine, just stay calm. Don't set your standards too high." But when he saw Rangi's preparing, Zeke sighed in exasperation. "What is that guy doing?" Rangi's took a deep breath. The instructor signaled, "Begin." Right after, Rangi's closed his eyes tightly and swung his sword. The instructor reminded coldly, "First attempt failed. 2 tries left, try again." Rangi's gritted his teeth. One more time, this time it'll work for sure. Rangi's gripped the sword again and struck hard at the stone. The second attempt was another miserable failure. He trembled and cried out, "No way." His friends burst into mocking laughter one after another. As expected, the son of a pseudo-dragon is still just a pseudo-dragon. Give up already. Taking the chance, Retin brought up the past. "What did you say earlier?" Retin shouted mockingly, "Didn't you claim that Rangi's guy lying there was stronger than us?" The taunts grew harsher. "Stop babbling nonsense, it's ridiculous." The dragon instructor asked for his opinion. "One try left, do you want to go again?" Rangi shook like a leaf. Aye. Somehow Zeke had already come to his side. "What are you doing?" Zeke asked confusedly. "Why are you using a sword? Why not a spear?" Rangi's didn't understand his meaning. "Spear? What do you mean?" Zeke explained calmly. "Like I said, why use a weapon that doesn't suit you without any plan?" From the stand, someone poured fuel on the fire. "In your current state, no matter how hard you try, you can't scratch that stone with a sword." The other students joined in laughing. "Are you stupid? His dad didn't use a spear. He taught him swordsmanship." Another group whispered among themselves. "Exactly, changing weapons won't help at all." Ignoring all that, Zeke politely asked, "Examiner, is switching weapons during the test against the rules?" The instructor replied indifferently, "No issue." Zeke happily pointed it out to Rangi's. "You heard him, Rangi's lucky you, so then." He provoked on purpose to ignite Rangi's determination. "Are you really going to leave it like this?" Past images suddenly flashed through Rangi's mind. Rangi slowly stood up. "No, I will." And he decided, "I'll try with a spear." Speaking of the past, my father couldn't enter the dragon's lair. Even so, he was gentle and caring. He treated me so well. No matter if I was sad or happy, he always had the habit of patting my head. He was called a pseudo-dragon and mocked. Even then, my father never minded and raised me properly. He taught me the smallest things in life, taught me how to hold a sword and use it. Back to the present, in the middle of this plaza, Rangi silently vowed to himself, "The person my father raised isn't fake. Today, right here, I'll prove it." Even with that resolute will, Rangi's mind was still chaotic with thoughts. He looked down at the spear in his hand and thought tensely, "If I try again with the sword, the result will be the same. Since that's the case, I'll trust Zeke, but how do I even use a spear?" At that moment, Zeke was beside him and called out, "Rangi's." Then he pointed toward the rebirth stone. He encouraged Rangi's, "Just thrust straight ahead and don't think about anything." Just thrust straight. Boosted by Zeke's encouragement, Rangi's felt somewhat less anxious, though he was still a little nervous. Rangi's gripped the spear tightly and muttered to himself for motivation, "Thrust straight forward." His mind unconsciously recalled the usual mocking from Retin and the others, then remembered Zeke always standing by his side. Rangi's thought inwardly, "Normally, if I think thrusting straight with a spear I've never held before won't scratch the rebirth stone, but how could he say that without ever trying it once? Even though I've only just met him, this is pretty strange," but thinking this far, he finally made up his mind. He raised the spear straight toward the rebirth stone and declared firmly, "I understand, I'll try." But he kept repeating to himself, "Since Zeke believed in me, I'll try believing in myself too." With that thought, he charged toward the rebirth stone. The spear in his hand faintly glowed with a soft light. Rangi seemed to sense the power the spear was giving him. He felt both happy and anxious, holding a sword from the start until now. The flow inside me has never circulated this much. No more thinking, Rangi shouted as he thrust the spear forward with all his strength into the rebirth stone. Retin and his group hadn't yet seen the result and were already laughing uproariously, mocking him. "See, I told you changing weapons won't help him do jack." Slow motion as Rangi's thrust into the rebirth stone. When the spear tip accelerated toward impact, he couldn't believe it. "It's like it was part of my body from the very beginning." The sharp spear tip pierced at lightning speed. When the spear penetrated the rebirth stone, dust and debris exploded outward. Retin and his crew were stunned, unable to believe their eyes as they shouted, "What?" The assistant instructor beside the dragon instructor exclaimed in shock, "My God!" The dragon instructor's face remained unchanged, but he still let out an astonished remark. He didn't just scratch it, he pierced straight through. Finishing Rangi's turn, Zeke immediately stood up, clapping in celebration. "Awesome, you did great, Rangi's." Rangi's was still dazed and asked blankly, What did I just do?" The dragon instructor wrote the result and announced, "Number 414, pass." Rangi stood stunned, still holding the spear, stammering in disbelief. "I passed." Zeke slung an arm around his shoulder, smiling brightly. "Yep, you did it, just like I thought." After steadying himself, Rangi's eyes welled up with tears of joy as he murmured, "I passed." Then he joyfully hugged Zeke tightly, shouting, "I did it, I really passed." Zeke laughed, "I told you so." On the stands, two guys beside Retin clamored in denial. "It was just a fluke. Yeah, it has to be, right, Retin?" At that moment, the dragon instructor announced loudly, "The entrance exam has concluded." But he looked at the list of passing students in his hand and continued, "The entrance ceremony will begin immediately." Hearing that, Zeke asked Rangi's curiously beside him, "Entrance ceremony, that's it?" Rangi's answered right away, "Yeah, there might be other tests after we start attending." Zeke asked further, "So what do we do now?" Rangi's didn't know how to answer and just said vaguely, Probably nothing for us to do right now." At that moment, steady footsteps rang out. A dignified group slowly stepped into the center of the plaza. Seeing them, the dragon instructor spoke. The leader of the Eldragon clan will give a congratulatory speech for you all. Zeke noticed a man with an imposing aura standing silently among them. Zeke asked Rangiz curiously, "Who's that gloomy guy?" Rangiz paled in fear at Zeke calling him that, but answered honestly, "That's the clan head." Zeke showed no restraint and bluntly commented, "The clan head with that face, can't he lighten up a bit? Ice might be warmer than him." Hearing Zeke's words, Rangiz panicked and quickly covered his mouth, half pleading, half demanding, "Please be quiet, please." Then he slowly removed his hand from Zeke's mouth but was still sweating bullets, repeatedly whispering, "Please stay silent, okay? Okay?" Zeke nodded and didn't say anything more. His eyes turned toward the Eldragon clan leaders as he pondered inwardly. But, so that's the current strength of the Eldragon clan, a few at 7-star, quite a few at 6-star, truly a formidable force. Thinking this far, he couldn't help sighing inwardly in admiration. But Zeke looked at the clan head man and pondered. And the current clan head of the Eldragon clan, Baltza Eldragon. Sensing the mysterious aura emanating from him, Zeke inwardly assessed, I guess he's at 8-star level. Based on what he knew, 8-star was extremely rare. Even 1,000 years ago, there weren't even 12 people in the world who reached it. I don't know how the era is now, but thinking this far, he didn't keep the thought to himself anymore and said it out loud, "I don't like him." Hearing that, Rangiz immediately turned to stare at him. Zeke added under his breath while thinking it was his father. The other Eldragon clan leaders stepped aside to clear a path for Baltza to the center. The dragon instructor announced loudly again, "A few words from Lord Baltza, attention." Baltza walked straight to the very center. Baltza spoke, his voice carried no warmth and was curt. "Strive, become the flesh and blood of Eldragon." His words released a strange mana wave that blew straight toward Zeke. Everyone on the stands couldn't escape and felt themselves nearly lifted off the ground. Noisy voices started whispering, "Impossible, can't breathe." Zeke was completely unaffected but saw Rangiz beside him struggling to breathe with a purple face and called worriedly, "Rangiz." He looked at the others around who were gasping for air and vaguely realized, even the other kids are being crushed by this guy's pressure. Thinking that, he frowned and muttered inwardly, "What terrifying hatred. I don't know what happened, but I really don't like him." When Baltza turned and withdrew, the plaza's atmosphere gradually returned to normal. Suddenly applause rang out. Another man, one of the Eldragon clan leaders, laughed loudly and followed up on Baltza's speech. "Yes, truly valuable encouragement. Lord Baltza has high expectations for you all." Zeke paid attention to him and wondered inwardly, "Who's that guy?" Meanwhile, the man's booming voice continued echoing, "So I won't bother with too many greetings. Strive hard, young ones." With that, he laughed heartily again. Zeke still wondered inwardly, who is he? Stepping back, the man chatted casually with the dragon instructor. The instructor teased, "Seriously, you said it like it's true." The man joked back, "People who worry about little things go bald anyway, forget his status." Zeke just sighed inwardly at this point. I don't understand what's going on, but thankfully the atmosphere has changed. After that pressure wave, the students on the stands fell deathly silent. No one dared speak. No one even breathed loudly. Zeke didn't care about any of this nonsense and just sat idly looking down at the plaza below. Now the dragon instructor held a list in hand and announced loudly, "We will now announce dormitory assignments. Those whose names are called proceed immediately." Hearing that, Zeke asked Rangiz curiously, "Aren't we all going to the same place?" Rangiz explained based on what he knew. "No, actually there are 4 dragons' lairs. New students are assigned to halls corresponding to east, west, south, and north." Zeke nodded, "Got it." At that moment, the dragon instructor read number 315. Zeke stood up smiling and bid Rangiz farewell. "My turn, take care, Rangiz." Rangiz sincerely wished him, "Yeah, you too, Zeke." At the eastern dragon's lair, rows of dignified classical buildings with spacious shaded gardens. Right now, Zeke held a note in hand, scratching his head in frustration. After 1,000 years, so much has changed. Turn here. Finally, after struggling to find the way, he reached his dormitory room. He sighed in relief. "Here it is, Hugh. Got lost and ended up late. My roommate's probably already here." With that, Zeke turned the doorknob. Opening the door, he cheerfully waved hello to the person inside, saying friendly, "Sorry for making you wait. Starting today, we're roommates." Vaguely looking at the person before him, he paused slightly, asked suspiciously, "You're..." Zeke grinned wide and exclaimed, "Looks like we're pretty fated to meet, huh, Rangiz?" The blue-haired boy smiled back and replied, "Yeah, really, I was worried I'd end up alone. This is great." After that, Zeke flopped down onto the bed. "Nothing else to do today, right?" Rangiz stepped over beside him and answered, "That's right, the training sessions start tomorrow." Zeke immediately pouted and muttered, "Oh yeah." Seeing his reaction, Rangiz couldn't help asking, "Were you even listening?" The instructor said that clearly. Zeke grinned brightly and gave a thumbs up. "I didn't hear a single word." Rangiz instantly yelled, "That's not something to brag about." Then he spoke sternly again, "Anyway, we should sleep early, training starts tomorrow." Under the soft sunset light streaming through the window, Zeke just sat quietly in thought without saying anything more. He suddenly recalled everything he'd been through and pondered inwardly. "I was planning to escape this boring place and go adventuring, but that rebirth stone and that potion, too many interesting things happened during the entrance exam." Zeke unconsciously looked toward the window and thought to himself, To understand what changed after 1,000 years, staying with the Eldragon clan a bit longer isn't so bad. Time flew by 1 month later at the Eldragon clan's stronghold. On the training ground right now, a group of trembling kids were lifting weights with both hands, while someone kept shouting loudly, "Listen up, the dragon breath I taught you is an excellent breathing technique created by the 15th clan head of the Eldragon family." The dragon instructor stood tall and continued in a booming voice, "You must master this ultimate technique in every situation." As soon as he finished, he turned his head and looked thoughtfully in a certain direction. Lika before him was currently eyes closed, using the technique perfectly, making him ponder. Many have already mastered dragon breath, especially since the young lady's primal energy is starting to overflow, showing she's close to reaching 2-star. But the dragon instructor cast a doubtful gaze in another direction, and that kid. Zeke sat on the other side, casually lifting weights while carrying 3 more large and small boulders on his back. What the hell is this? Truly, he has the clan head's blood in him too, but he has no instructor or proper lessons. The dragon instructor stood behind him, silently observing, but still couldn't hide his astonishment. What kind of scene is this? Meanwhile, Zeke calmly breathed in and out while thinking inwardly. I never imagined the Dragon King breathing technique I created would be improved and spread widely under the name Dragon Breath. He sat cross-legged with a slightly bored expression, his body enveloped in a faint golden aura. The breathing technique is a skill to absorb energy from the air into the body and circulate it, thereby self-upgrading power reserves. What determines its effectiveness is mainly the user's skill and finesse. That's why prestigious clans create their own methods, and complete ultimate techniques are kept as supreme secrets. Zeke closed his eyes and thought inwardly. Dragon breath is quite safe and easy to learn, but if the purpose is only for calming the mind, then I don't need it. The mature silhouette from his previous life suddenly appeared in his mind. The Dragon King breathing secret passed down by Gilfa's Eldragon is the only breathing technique that allows controlling energy without interrupting breath, even while moving. Its effect is enormous, but very few can inherit it due to the extreme difficulty. Zeke's had a transmission process for this breathing technique suddenly appeared. He immediately guessed. So they deliberately simplified it so anyone could use it, thereby raising the overall strength of the entire clan. I never thought my technique would be passed down to future generations in such an altered form. How touching. I wonder if other martial arts after 1,000 years have been changed like this too. Really looking forward to it. In a corner Zeke couldn't see, Lika was secretly watching him. Not long after, the kids who had just finished training started their meal in the dining hall. Amid the lively atmosphere, suddenly 2 kids with terrified expressions stared intently at the arm reaching out for a food plate. Zeke happily opened his mouth wide to chomp down on the piece he just grabbed. Crumbs still stuck around his lips. While chewing, Zeke asked caringly, "What's wrong? You look deep in thought, Rangies. If you don't eat, you won't get stronger, you know." Rangies helplessly asked back, "How are you so full of energy? Your stamina is really strange." Zeke casually mocked, "It's because you're too weak." Zeke smiled wryly and pushed the plate of buns forward. "Eat more and train harder. Here, no choice, take this." The blue-haired boy groaned miserably. "I already have my own portion." Right after that, Zeke suddenly glanced behind him. Anyway, there are a few who are really well trained. At the same time, Lika suddenly approached him and spoke. "Hey, you're pretty good, right? Who are you?" Thinking that inwardly, Zeke still responded instinctively. "Who are you?" Rangies beside him spat out the water he just drunk. "Huh." He immediately pulled Zeke close and whispered urgently, "Zeke, you don't know, this is Lady Lika, daughter of the clan head." Zeke replied indifferently, "Don't know." Rangies shouted in panic, "Impossible, she's one of the candidates for the next clan head position. Normally, we don't even have the right to talk to her." Being pressed so close, Zeke blurted out, "If that's the case, then I'm the clan head son too, even if illegitimate." Rangies froze in shock in an instant, while Lika opposite suddenly exclaimed, "Really?" She asked calmly with a composed face, "You're the illegitimate son of the clan head, successor candidate Lika Typhona Eldragon." Zeke propped his hand up and answered immediately, "Why would I lie about something like that?" Lika questioned. "Then how are you strong enough to crush the rebirth stone barehanded?" She slammed her hand on the table. "An illegitimate child with no backing, how could you do that?" Zeke turned back to continue cutting his meat before replying slowly, "Well, because it's me. Rangies, stop spacing out, eat." Zeke's answer made Lika fall silent for a moment. Right after, she suddenly grinned and said, "You're really interesting." Lika casually sat down beside him and proposed, "So how about becoming my subordinate?" Zeke gave her a dead fish look. "Huh, what did you say?" Lika repeated the offer while laying out benefits. "I'm asking if you want to become someone under me. I'll be your backing. You want allies too, right?" In her mind right then, a scene of the 2 of them standing side by side in the future appeared. Lika leaned one hand on the table smiling as she painted the future. "Then use your strength to help me become clan head. Of course I'll treat you well after I become clan head. How about it?" Zeke closed his eyes and refused instantly. "No thanks." Lika suddenly lowered her voice, making him look over. "Why? Don't tell me." She coldly released a strong aura of anger. "You also intend to fight for the clan head position." Zeke sensed that aura and only thought, she's at the threshold of 2-star, able to emit primal energy outside the body. At this age, interesting, but he answered indifferently, "Do whatever you want. I have no interest in becoming clan head or anything like that. No interest in clan matters." Lika was shocked and slammed the table, standing up. What, then what's left? Before she finished, a blur suddenly flashed past her face. Zeke's face darkened as he slammed the knife in his hand down into the table. The knife's position was only a few centimeters from Lika's fingers. Zeke widened his eyes, glowing golden, and said, I don't serve anyone, because I am the strongest. Under that gaze, Lika's whole body stiffened like she'd been shocked. What? She paled and thought inwardly, I'm at a disadvantage. At that moment, Rangi's trembled as he stood up to mediate. Calm down. But Lika suddenly shouted angrily, then I'll force you to submit, fight me. Zeke chewed while looking over blankly as Rangi's beside him froze in terror. A while later, a kid walking by turned his head and asked, where are you guys going? To the training ground. There's a spar between new students. And it's Lady Lika, the kid exclaimed in shock. Lady Lika, from the Typhona branch, with who? Why, who knows? At that moment on the training ground, other new students who'd come to watch hid behind walls whispering, they say it's a spar, who's that guy? Zeke rubbed his head and muttered, this is getting tense. Rangi's asked worriedly. Are you okay? Your opponent is Lady Lika. Zeke replied nonchalantly, even if you say that, I still don't know who she is. And why did you suddenly switch to formal speech? The blue-haired boy widened his eyes and shouted, of course, sir, you're the clan head's son. Zeke just smiled lightly. Do whatever you want. More importantly, Rangi's clung to his arm and spilled everything in a rush. Please think carefully. Lika is the daughter of the current clan head Baltza, and she carries the bloodline of the Typhona branch, one of the 4 pillar families of the Eldragon clan. She's a genius who mastered all variations of the Great Thunder Sword, the Typhona family's legacy, from age 7, just like the other extremely talented children of Lord Baltza. As soon as he finished, Zeke raised his hand blankly. Sorry, I only understood that she's the clan head's daughter. Rangi shouted in panic. Why? Zeke explained. Everything's new to me. The blue-haired boy clutched his head miserably. How can this be? Don't ask. But Zeke suddenly spoke comfortingly. But not knowing makes it even more interesting, doesn't it? He grinned wide and exclaimed, extremely interesting. Even seeing Zeke's reaction, Rangi's was still worried. Even if you're strong, facing Lady Lika is still too disadvantageous. Why did you accept the challenge? Zeke rubbed his chin. Well, when someone challenges me, I don't back down. Right after saying that, Zeke turned his head toward the opposite side. Besides, she seems to have arrived. Lika planted her sword in the ground, face full of anger and aura blazing as she declared, the chit-chat ends here. Lika leaned on her sword planted in the ground and shouted, done talking. Rangi's trembled in fear. Zeke beside him smiled, ready, everything set. Rangi's panicked while backing away, shouted, just please be careful. Zeke stayed put and asked Lika calmly, careful, that depends on you. Why are you so determined to challenge me? She answered confidently, I want to become clan head. To do that, I must make you submit and join me. Zeke asked in boredom, what do you mean? He thought inwardly, what does this have to do with me? Lika darkened her face. Wait, you don't know anything about the current clan situation? Is it because you're illegitimate? Zeke hesitated. Well, I might know something if you ask directly. Lika immediately explained, listen, there are 5 candidates for the next clan head position, including you and me. Everyone except you has already allied with one of the 4 branches of the Eldragon clan. She thought of each person's strength and background, then continued, which branch produces the next clan head is extremely important. That's why all of us are here at the Dragon's Lair, to represent our branch and compete. I need more power to face my siblings. Zeke frowned, thinking, so there's currently a confrontation between the 4 branches. Complicated stuff, I don't think I fully get it. Then he said, got it. After that, Lika drew her sword and said, therefore, as a candidate for the next clan head, I need to strengthen my resources even more. She declared, that's the reason. Lika leaped up. Zeke raised his head warily. Lika raised her sword and charged toward him, shouting, right here, I'll defeat you. Lika slashed straight down, but Zeke swiftly dodged to the side. He tilted his head again to dodge one of Lika's slashing strikes. She roared in fury, I won't let you get away with this. One shocked trainee shouted out loud how fast that was, while the guy next to him commented that she was handling that massive greatsword so effortlessly. Lika kept charging after Zeke relentlessly. The watching trainees buzzed with excited chatter about how precise her control over her power source was, and how her attacks were getting faster and faster. Turns out this is the strength of someone who inherited a branch of the family. The kids from the main clan are just a matter of time before this fight reaches its decisive moment. Lika gritted her teeth, wondering why the hell is this happening. She swung her sword again, but Zeke dodged it, then swiftly appeared behind her back, grinning teasingly, before saying cheerfully, I can't even land a single hit on you. Rangi's eyes widened in awe as he exclaimed, that's incredible. On the arena floor, Zeke muttered while observing her, this kind of martial technique I've never seen before, and at this speed, it's definitely not something you'd expect from a 1-star level fighter. Lika yelled angrily, shut your mouth and focus on the fight already. Zeke clenched his fist and replied, I am focused, that's exactly why. Lika froze, stunned, staring at him in confusion. Zeke had already driven a straight punch right into her stomach, and he said coldly, I can counterattack just like this. Lika coughed painfully, clutching her gut. She planted her sword into the ground and bent over, holding her stomach. The trainees outside erupted in disbelief. No way, every single one of Miss Lika's attacks missed. Who the hell is that guy? Lika lifted her head, gritting her teeth, demanding, why can't any of my attacks hit you? Against a 1-star like you, I should be overwhelmingly faster. I should be way quicker than than you. Zeke smiled and answered, you're definitely a lot faster than any 1-star I've ever faced. He gave her a sidelong glance, but you're still just a 1-star, that's all. Lika snapped furiously, aren't you a 1-star too? How can you even keep up with my movements? Zeke gave a faint smirk, it's simple really. He studied her body and said, breathing, eye movements, muscle tension buildup. Zeke explained, just by watching those things you can read most of her movements and the rest comes down to experience. At that moment, Lika forced herself back to her feet. She swung her sword at him and shouted, that's ridiculous. He leaned back to dodge her strike and said, I told you so. Then he planted his hands on the ground, arched his body, and kicked out at Lika with his legs. She gritted her teeth in rage as Zeke clenched his fist, aiming at her again, saying, I can read it all. Lika got blasted back by Zeke's punch, slamming hard into the wall. Zeke frowned, staying silent. One trainee yelled out, Miss Lika, while the crowd around gasped in shock. No way, she actually lost. Miss Lika lost. Rangis rushed forward shouting, Lord Zeke, that's amazing, you actually defeated Miss Lika. But Zeke replied coldly, no, not quite yet. As the dust slowly cleared, Lika stomped her foot down hard. Zeke smiled and commented, she concentrated all her power source into her core to block my hit, she's no pushover. Lika clutched her stomach, breathing heavily in pain. Rangis panicked and urged, Miss Lika, that's enough already, but Zeke cut in. Rangis, step back, I won't be responsible if you get caught in the crossfire. A faint aura began radiating around Lika, and Zeke said she was already showing signs earlier, but has she really reached 2-star level now? Lika wiped the blood from her face with her hand and slowly walked back onto the arena floor. The surrounding trainees shouted in astonishment, hey, isn't that, yeah, no mistake, that's the mark of 2-star level, a white halo. Zeke thought to himself, 2-star, the state where you can project your power source outside the body to use martial techniques. The projected energy is called an aura. Lika fixed her hair and said, thanks to you I broke through to 2-star, and now. She furrowed her brows, tightly glaring at Zeke, then swung her sword, shouting, you don't stand a chance of winning anymore. Zeke dodged her attack and laughed out loud, damn, you're fast. Lika swung another slash at him, and Zeke pretended to be impressed. Whoa, that was unexpected. Suddenly, a small cut appeared on his cheek. Zeke thought to himself in shock, what the hell was that? He touched the wound thoughtfully, I swear I dodged it. Lika stepped closer and said, see that? A pale white energy flowed from Lika's entire body as she advanced, saying, this is my ability. Lika raised her sword to her chest and continued, now I've got the 2-star aura. Golden lightning bolts crackled all around her as Lika declared, I'll show you the real thunder sword technique. Zeke stood still, muttering, so I'm finally going to witness a martial technique I've never seen before. He burst out laughing, this is gonna be awesome. In that instant, a flash of light erupted. Thunder greatsword technique, thunder radiance. Electricity surged nonstop across Zeke's whole body. Wait, what is this? He grinned and asked, so you're controlling lightning, huh? That's way too overpowered. Lika raised her sword high, shouting at the guy who dares say something like that. She slammed the blade straight into the ground. Lightning bolts shot up instantly. Zeke leaped high, you look like you're actually enjoying this thunder net. He smiled, looking at Lika, it's completely different from before. These lightning bolts are tough even for me right now. Up above, the spectators exclaimed, what kind of fight is this? Just one level difference and everything changes that much. Rangis watched below with a face full of fear and worry. Lord Zeke. Meanwhile, Zeke kept analyzing his opponent's weapon and calculating. Right now her actual movements are still pretty straightforward, nothing's changed too drastically. But he stared straight into her sharp eyes the moment she reached 2-star and gained the aura. The power of her thunder greatsword exploded violently. I thought she was just faster than before, but now she's even quicker, and those lightning strikes are so mysterious. Zeke smiled, charging forward, being able to envelop someone in thunder like this, I could counter right now, but he hesitated, inwardly watching Lika's sword paths. I'm really curious what this power truly is. On her side, Lika smirked triumphantly, you can still smile in a situation like this, you look way too relaxed if that's the case. Lika swiftly slashed at him, I'll wipe that smile right off your face. Then her foot shot forward instantly. Lika unleashed thunder radiance shift. He dodged to the side, evaluating this move. It's like a lightning pillar, huh? Far away, an explosion erupted, sending dirt and rocks flying everywhere. Rangis saw it and immediately leaped down the wall in panic. Lord Zeke, while people behind shouted, hey, wait. But Zeke was still standing tall, wearing that same smile. To Lika, it felt like provocation, so she immediately followed up with thunder radiance. Zeke took the hit and dropped to one knee to brace himself. On the other side, Rangis rushed over, shouting, Miss Lika, please stop. If you keep going, why? Her voice turned mocking, isn't he still holding up just fine? Lightning crackled over Lika's entire body. You don't think stopping now would be an insult to him, do you? He turned anxiously to Zeke, pleading, Lord Zeke, please just surrender. Meanwhile, she reminded him, honestly, I think he's right, you're in pretty bad shape. Here's the deal, if you surrender and submit to me right now, I'll stop here. Zeke bowed his head, smiling silently without answering. Seeing that, Lika said cheerfully, so even as an illegitimate child, you're still a proud Eldragon. Eldragon. Huh, I get it, fine. Then I'll finish you off with everything I've got. She raised her sword high. Powerful lightning surged toward it. Greatsword technique. Secret art number 1, Heavenly Thunder. The lightning struck Zeke's body, forming a pillar of blinding light. He was instantly electrocuted until his vision went white. Crackling thunder sounds filled the air. Rangis rushed forward in terror, screaming, Lord Zeke. Then Zeke collapsed motionless on the ground, completely still. Lika brutally stabbed her sword into the ground. She turned away, no longer caring. What a shame, but the fight ends here. Right at that moment, a voice rang out. I figured it out, and from behind Lika, a pillar of light erupted. She spun around in shock. How is that possible? How do you have a lightning aura? Zeke stood back up, still smiling, letting out an "Oh, so this is what they call a lightning aura." He answered cheerfully when you asked how. Zeke crossed his arms, looking dead serious. I have no idea either. Lika stood there stunned, speechless. He continued happily. I deliberately took all your attacks to study this power, but somehow I can use it too, she repeated in disbelief. You can use it, that doesn't mean. Zeke thought to himself joyfully, while enduring those mysterious lightning strikes, I kept using the breathing technique, Dragon King's breath. He recalled how Lika's whole body radiated lightning, and then what happened. Dragon King's breath reacted to her lightning aura. Lightning began appearing on Zeke's hands and electricity started accumulating inside his body. He smiled, wiping the dirt from his face. Before I even realized it, I could already manipulate that lightning. I don't know the exact principle, but I must have some kind of special physique. No, wait. Zeke looked straight at Lika and continued, if we consider that greatsword technique as your family's inherited martial art, should I assume your entire clan has some special physique? With that, he quickly moved toward her, hypothesizing that the power source itself is based on lightning properties. Yeah, this has been one hell of a training session. Zeke raised his hand, lightning bolts crackling into existence, and more than that. He smiled, clenching his fist as powerful electricity surged across his whole body. Thanks to you, I've also reached 2-star level. The fight's far from. Zeke's eyes quickly flicked toward one direction. Right then, Lika suddenly swung her sword straight at him. Zeke smiled, tilting his head up, and continued saying, over yet. Then lightning flashed unexpectedly. He burst forward at incredible speed. After using his new ability, Zeke couldn't help exclaiming, this is. He silently analyzed the flow of this power in his mind. Right now, with the power source increased, it affects every nerve and reinforces the body. What an astonishing special physique. All my senses are heightened. So Zeke quietly told himself, I need to get used to it a bit. On the other side, Rangi still hadn't snapped out of it. A battle between clan air candidates. Just watching, I can barely keep up. Am I imagining all this? By now, the two of them had charged at each other. Zeke easily evaded her attacks. The guy was stunned, inwardly thinking Miss Lika's lightning-like slashes can't hit him anymore. Lika lost her cool, yelling furiously, are you mocking me? He smiled casually, no, I'm not teasing you at all. Then Zeke rushed in fast, delivering a direct strike toward her sword. I really do see you as a formidable opponent. Lika sensed the overwhelming force and immediately gripped her sword, stepping back. He rolled his wrists, warming up his body while grinning. The right distance is about here. Time to wrap this fight up. It's been going on long enough. Maybe I should create a new move. Over there, she was still stunned, asking, a new move? Zeke answered, yeah, the first form, no better call it a secret art. At that, Lika's expression crumbled in panic. Inside a move, so he really has been trained in some secret inherited martial art from which branch, creating a technique so casually like that I just can't understand him at all. Suddenly, he appeared right in front of her, smiling, distracted. Lika jolted, shouting, oh no, before she could dodge. Zeke's palm slammed straight into her chest. Dragon Remnant Destruction secret art. He poured all his strength into the attack. Extreme Thunder Claw. She got zapped hard, her knees buckling to the ground. A voice rang out in front of Rangis's stunned face, the match is over. Zeke smiled, looking down at Lika. That was seriously one hell of a fun fight. She struggled to stand still in disbelief. No way, I lost. Lika's teeth ground together in frustration. I have to become clan head. She looked up at the sky with a sad expression. I have to defeat my brothers. In front of Lika's eyes were visions of her older brothers still looking down on her. I have to become clan head. I absolutely cannot lose. Right then, Zeke spoke up. That's amazing. You're truly very strong. Lika startled at his words. He bent down, adding, I've learned some really interesting new things. This has been an incredibly meaningful time. Zeke extended his hand right in front of her, smiling cheerfully. It would be so boring if this was our only sparring session. Let's train together again, okay, Lika? Lika's face flushed, a little touched as she looked up. Zeke reached his hand toward Lika, grinning. I can't wait for the next one. She took his hand, then smiled back. How could I possibly compare to you? I lost. A few hours later, inside the rift, a swarm of monsters appeared. A man was surrounded by the horde of creatures. Baltza calmly watched them charging toward him. He furrowed his brows. Baltza's eyes flashed instantly. Overwhelming killing intent erupted behind him. The shadowy form of a roaring dragon appeared. Baltza muttered, dragon might. He drew his sword and charged at the monsters. Baltza swung a wide arc slash, thinking to himself, dragon aura, annihilation, martial art, first form origin. Sword energy scattered, wiping out swathes of monsters. Then Baltza sheathed his blade. The soldiers behind him immediately rushed in to finish the rest. The rift gate slowly opened. Baltza walked leisurely toward it. One soldier bowed, reporting, Lord Baltza, I have something to report. Baltza asked, what is it? The soldier said, Miss Lika has reached 2-star, sir. Baltza stopped in his track. He glanced at the soldier gruffly. So the soldier nervously continued, reaching 2-star at her age is already a remarkable achievement with Miss Lika's talent, but By the time she graduates from the dragon lair, she could reach 4. No, she might even hit 5-star. Balza declared coldly, talent doesn't matter, report to me when the girl becomes useful. If you came here just to tell me something this trivial, then get lost. The soldier paused for a second, but Miss Lika has been defeated. Balza asked in surprise. The girl challenged one of the older ones. The soldier answered, no sir, the one who defeated Miss Lika is a kid, the same age Zeke sir. Balza muttered, surprised Zeke, that woman's child. He hesitated, yeah, that woman had freakish martial talent, but... Balza eyed the soldier questioning. Still, she died giving birth to that boy, right, who taught him the skills to beat a 2-star. The soldier, recalling Zeke, answered about that. Zeke defeated Miss Lika without anyone teaching him, and he reached 2-star level all on his own. Balza ordered, I see, then let's start the first phase of training. The soldier asked, shocked, I don't mean anything by it, but isn't it too soon? They've only had formal combat training for about a month, and most of the kids haven't even reached 1 star yet. Balza said coldly, so what, whether they've trained in combat or not, death treats everyone equally. Only the strong survive. Those who can't even pass the first trial, no matter how many stars they have, he declared, don't deserve to be an Eldragon. The soldier bowed. As you wish sir. Then Balza suddenly added, report this to Freya. The soldier confused. Freya sir. Balza replied, yes, the fact that the boy beat Lika on his own is quite interesting. As he walked into the rift, he continued, Freya will be assigned to oversee the content and the entire process, have her monitor the challenge closely from start to finish. The soldier snapped, understood. Balza smirked, muttering, Zeke, huh, interesting indeed. The next day at the training grounds, the trainees were going all out, practicing like crazy. Rangiz was also pushing hard to improve himself. Over on Zeke's side, he was hauling boulders and weights onto his body, thinking dragon seal combat method. Today's plan, double the weights, 1 big rock, 2 medium rocks, horse stance. Zeke recalled, like dragon breath. This technique was created by the 15th clan head, though it's called a combat method. It's basically a body reinforcement technique, designed to be easy enough for even kids to master fully. Rangiz walked over, puzzled, Lord Zeke, aren't you going to train? He immediately replied, what are you talking about? I am training. The guy hesitated, no, not physical training, I mean training in the dragon seal combat method. Zeke calmly answered, I've already learned it. The guy shouted in shock, what, you just learned it earlier, and you've already mastered it? He closed his eyes, saying, of course, more importantly, Rangiz, your power flow is going in the wrong direction. Rangiz froze, huh? Zeke dropped the rock and weight, saying, here. He raised his hand, pointing at the guy's body. Look, turn around. Rangiz dazed, wondering, did I just float? He mumbled, yes. A surge of energy suddenly glowed. Zeke placed his hand on Rangiz's shoulder, channeling power into his body. When done, he said, this is the correct flow. Rangiz said in awe, thank you so much, sir. Rangiz looked at him seriously, you've truly mastered it, as expected from Lord Zeke. Zeke yelled, you doubting me? What kind of person are you? Rangiz flustered, no, sorry, I didn't mean it like that. This is the first time anyone's taught me besides my father, so I always feel desperate. He recalled Zeke's clash with Lika and continued, but you, Lord Zeke, already have martial techniques strong enough to beat Miss Lika, so I figured the dragon seal combat method might seem simple and boring to you. Zeke crossed his arms, that's not true at all. I'm completely impressed by how stable the dragon seal combat method is. He thought inwardly, after all, my technique, dragon remnant destruction, isn't suited for my son. They say it's too complex and difficult. Zeke pondered, dragon remnant destruction combat method, complex and grueling, but superior in overwhelming power, like a constitution, starting with the first form, then second, third, fourth. He pictured an ancient tree and a silver dragon. Zeke recalled, plus the secret art born from the fight with Lika. And there's still the final form, the one with devastating power from defeating the divine dragon. I'm curious about the other dragon techniques too, maybe those have been modified as well. Zeke thought happily, this is exciting. Then he smiled, anyway, I've finished learning the dragon seal combat method, so I'm just doing regular body training. Everyone progresses at their own pace. Rangiz replied, I get it. Suddenly Rangiz shouted, Lord Zeke. He suggested, please train me. I want you to guide me like just now. Zeke's eyes widened, continuing, I know it's an embarrassing request, but Rangiz yelled, I want to get stronger, even just a little. Zeke laughed, I don't mind at all. The guy asked, dazed, really, is that okay? Zeke replied, what's with that reaction? You're the one who asked. He continued, I'm not lying, besides you deserve it. Right then Lika walked over shyly, saying, in that case, I want you to train me too. Rangiz muttered in shock, even Miss Lika. Rangiz asked, seriously, is there a problem with that? Lika explained, honestly, I thought no one my age could beat me because I'm a candidate for the next clan head, but in yesterday's fight you completely overwhelmed me and somehow deployed a lightning aura and used it better than I did. She shouted, embarrassed, my pride has been totally shattered by you. Zeke sighed, my fault. Rangiz beside him gave an awkward laugh, well, yeah. Lika looked at him, determined, but I want to get even stronger, strong enough to defeat my brothers and even you, so please train me too. She asked, is that okay? Zeke stayed silent, thinking it over. Lika looked a bit disappointed, no good, huh? I understand, since you're also a potential heir, training with a rival probably isn't okay. Zeke stood quietly pondering. Without answering, she silently accepted, thinking, yeah, he's also a candidate for heir, even if illegitimate, he's still the clan head's son. After thinking for a while, he finally spoke, I don't mind, but is your body body really okay? That injury should have left you unable to move for a month. Lika nodded, recounting, I used recovery medicine, so no problem, you worry about the weirdest things. Hearing that, Zeke leaned close to Rangi's ear, whispering, I get it, that weird medicine worked like a miracle potion. He whispered back, if you mean the one from the entrance exam, it wasn't that effective. Rangi's pointed at her, affirming, with Miss Lika's personality, she must have used a better one this time. Zeke couldn't help exclaiming, what an amazing era. Lika's face flushed, what do you mean without the recovery medicine? I really would have been immobile for a month, but more importantly, so you're really going to train me? You need time to train yourself too. Zeke shrugged, grinning, of course, I'd never turn down an ambitious young person. She stared blankly, a question mark popping up in her head. Young person, you're young too, aren't you? Even Rangi's doubted, we're the same age. He whistled casually, yeah, that's true. To make sure, Zeke asked again, are you sure, Lika? I was the one who beat you, remember? She said, determined, no problem, I can't afford to be picky. Lika clenched her fists, eyes full of resolve. Getting stronger means becoming clan head. I'll do whatever it takes. Zeke couldn't help wondering, earlier when you challenged me, you mentioned the clan head position too. Why are you so obsessed with becoming clan head? She hesitated a bit. Oh, that's obvious. Lika slowly explained, if I don't become clan head, marriage is the only future left for me, a political marriage. If lucky, I'll end up as the wife of some annoying cousin. Otherwise, I'll be forced to become someone's concubine. Hearing that, his face darkened. What? She shrugged casually, like it was obvious. Yeah, maintaining the Eldragon bloodline is that important, especially for the 4 great clans. Don't you know our true essence energy is unique, meaning it can be used in countless ways. Zeke suddenly flared up with anger. Just run away, those bastards make me sick. Just thinking about it. Rangi's beside him shivered. He clenched his fists, ranting, what do they think people are back in the summer when they do shit like that? Those damn outdated customs, I'll destroy them all. In the middle of his rant, the instructor's stern voice rang out, focus. Lika confused, what just happened? Zeke grumbled, perfect timing, right when things get important. Rangi's looked like he was about to cry. That scared me half to death. The 3 of them turned toward where the instructor had just called for assembly. He announced loudly, starting today, a new instructor will join us despite a busy schedule. She personally came to guide all of you. Be grateful it's her. While everyone was focused listening, a girl with brilliant red hair suddenly stepped up beside Lika. She reached out, gently stroking a strand of Lika's hair, then asked, aren't you Miss Lika? Lika, startled, turned to look. The moment their eyes met, she instinctively stepped back. Rangi's jumped, hugging Zeke tightly. The red-haired girl feigned surprise, oh my. She winked, praising amazing reflexes, and your spiritual energy isn't bad either. Zeke, still being hugged tightly by Rangi's, thought to himself, I didn't sense her presence at all. He trembled, asking, who the hell is this person? The dragon instructor reached out to introduce, this is. Before he finished, the person beside him cut in, still as lively as ever. Huh. Miss Freja, she waved cheerfully, hi, nice to meet everyone. Freja glanced at Zeke, probing, and you must be Zeke, he answered without hesitation. Yeah. She was surprised. You don't seem surprised, he replied calmly, because miss, there's nothing surprising, but for some reason Freja's brows furrowed. Zeke smirked, his pupils gleaming. It seems this miss has quite an interesting martial artist. Freja thought, intrigued, so that's why the clan head paid attention to him. On the other side, Zeke rubbed his chin, impressed. Her stealth technique is really impressive, but what's even more special is the martial art she's mastered. He grew curious. Most of her true essence energy flow concentrates in her lower body, but this kind of flow, I've never seen anything like it before. That must be why her steps make no sound even in those shoes. What kind of martial technique is this? So interesting. Freja spun on her heel, walking back to the instructors, her tone turning serious now. Then, still wearing a friendly smile, as you were just told, from today I'll be your guide. Let's do our best. Everyone else got excited. Wait, isn't that the wind goddess Freja? Oh my god, the real person in the flesh. Awesome. The dragon instructor reminded sternly, Miss Freja has reached 6-star level. She's one of the key members of the Black Dragon Guard. Everyone learn everything you can from her. Hearing that, the trainees huddled, whispering, Black Dragon Guard, the direct guard unit under the clan head. Why would someone like that suddenly show up here? One bold kid raised his hand. Will you really train us, Miss Freja? She smiled brightly, of course. Before the kids could cheer, she added, but she emphasized, only if you pass my test. The words hit like thunder. The group clutched their faces. Test out of nowhere like that. Freja took out a spirit crystal, encouraging, don't worry, it's pretty easy. Just keep this crystal intact and survive in Poison Dragon Mountain for 1 month. Rangi's gaped. Poison Dragon Mountain. Zeke noted familiar name. Huh. Speaking of Poison Dragon Mountain, it's a land teeming with extremely poisonous creatures, where even touching an ordinary looking blade of grass can kill you. It's truly a deadly place. He recalled, in my previous life I used to train there a lot, and back then Zeke curiously tasted some fruits, giving himself goosebumps. Horrible taste, he wondered. But for these kids, isn't it a bit too soon? Freja warned, if your crystal breaks or gets lost during the trial, you're immediately disqualified. A trembling kid raised his hand, and if we fail, what happens? She smiled naturally, you'll be expelled if you survive. Freja explained, getting poisoned can be handled easily by using Dragon Breath technique precisely as long as you keep your crystal intact everything will be fine simple right. Lika spoke up, but instructor, there are monsters there too, she feigned surprise, oh dear. So just defeat them? Freja cupped her cheek like it was obvious and reminded otherwise you won't even have food and you'll die before the test ends. The young trainees panicked. What Dragon Slayer technique can really handle creatures like that? Freja smiled, raising 5 fingers. You still have 5 days before the real challenge starts. In those 5 days each of you will choose one weapon from the Eldragon family's foundational martial techniques and start training. She leaned, pointing to the table behind. If you want to deal with the monster's survival gets easier, right, but if you can't master the technique in 5 days. Freja's voice lowered. If you can't master it before the exam, I won't take responsibility for anything that happens afterward. Another kid asked, if things go bad, you'll help us, right? She waved her hand, oh come on. Freja said coldly with an instructor's aura, oh dear, this is Eldragon where the weak are eliminated and only the strong survive. If you can't fight back against the monsters, that's the natural outcome, right? If you can't even pass a simple test like this, you might as well lie down and sleep with the poison and monsters. Hearing that, the kids broke out in cold sweat while the 3 Zeke, Lika, and Rangi's each showed different expressions. He found it baffling. This place is so different from the Eldragon. I knew in Zeke's mind an image from the past flashed when he was Gilfa's holding his tiny son proudly. Look, Dad, this is your grandson, so cute. While now he stood puzzled. I don't get it, but why is that? Freja clapped once, announcing enough chatting now. I'll distribute the martial technique manuals for each weapon type. Come get the one for the weapon you want. One by one they went up, choosing, everyone confused. What are you picking? I don't know which one to choose. Rangi's bit his finger, trembling. What do I do? Zeke walked over, reminding Rangi's, you should pick the spear, you used it in the entrance exam, right? He sighed in relief. Yeah, thank you so much. On the side, Lika was still hesitating, even though there's Thunder Spirit Greatsword technique, though only basic level, he saw and stopped her. Wait, Lika. Zeke advised you should choose sword technique. She was surprised me why he turned, walking away, waving lightly. It will make up for what you're lacking. Though confused, Lika accepted. If you say so, then I'll pick this one. After choosing, everyone gathered back. Have you all got yours then for the next 5 days until the challenge starts? Freja reminded, if you want to survive, train like your life depends on it, otherwise just die. Everyone paled in fear, only Zeke remained nonchalant. She suddenly remembered, oh right, one more thing, the seniors from the previous ceremony will try to take your crystals too. Rangi shocked while he was delighted. That's more like it. Freja explained, the seniors from 10 years ago will join the challenge and their task is to take your crystals, but since there are more of you and Poison Dragon Mountain is huge, you might not run into each other. Though they'll definitely hunt you, so do your best, she said, waving her handkerchief and leaving. Rangi's pale, clutching his head. What, not only monsters, but even the seniors will attack us too? Lika frowned. The seniors from 10 years ago are all 2-star and above. Even I couldn't handle an ambush from multiple people, most others probably won't survive. Zeke just calmly stretched. Yeah, she snapped. Hey you, he suggested, if one person can't handle it, form a small group of 2 or 3. Cooperating to hunt monsters isn't forbidden, right? More people the better. Hearing that, Lika nodded. Makes sense. Rangi's asked, confused, Lord Zeke, what will you do? He smiled, full of excitement. Me, of course, I'll enjoy the challenge solo. The guy gaped. Enjoy? Lika worried, but even alone, no, maybe you really can. Zeke walked off cheerfully. Come on, before training, let's go grab something to eat. She was speechless. You're really strange. Rangi's agreed. Yeah, sometimes, yeah. 5 days later, as the sun rose over the mountain range, the first rays pierced through the leaves, awakening the still sleeping forest. All the trainees had gathered, everyone tense for the upcoming test. Freja announced, okay, perfect day for the test, everyone here, let's get started. At the campsite assembly spot, Rangi's gripped his spear tightly, whispering fearfully to Lika, it's finally the day of the test. Lika, who was feeling both scared and anxious, just gave a quiet mum. Watching the other students busily working, some setting up tents, others carrying supplies, Rangi's rambled on. Even though Lord Zeke said that going with Miss Lika like this might not be okay, after all there are plenty of people in our class from more legitimate noble families than me. I'm just a commoner and I haven't even reached any star level yet. Even after pouring out all his worries to Lika, whenever he thought about these things he trembled with fear again. Right then, a blonde boy and a green-haired girl approached from behind Rangi's, having overheard all his anxious words. The green-haired girl spoke first to comfort him. We're all in the same boat, Rangi's. By reflex, Rangi's turned around, saw them, and with teary eyes happily called out, Selene Raymond. Selene glanced at Lika beside him, feeling both excited and shy, exclaiming, I still can't believe a commoner like me gets to team up with Miss Lika. Raymond didn't say anything, but nodded along, agreeing with Selene. Lika looked at the 3 Rangi's, Selene and Raymond, encouraging them, nobly born or commoner. It doesn't matter, I chose to go with you guys because I recognize everyone's potential. Hearing that, Rangi's quietly tightened his grip on the spear and said simply, I understand. But his voice was dead serious as he promised, I'll do my absolute best, I won't become a burden to everyone. Rangi's burning determination spread to the others. Raymond also vowed, I'll work hard too, so I don't disappoint your expectations. Miss Lika smiled, praising all 3 of them. Good, I'm counting on you guys. Then she turned to ask Zeke again, but are you really going alone? Zeke answered confidently, of course, I can't wait any longer. Selene and Raymond had also heard about Zeke's background background. Selene looked at him in admiration, sighing, "Wow, I've been so worried this whole time," while Raymond admired aloud. "So this is what sharing royal blood feels like." Hearing Raymond, Lika shouted, "Honestly, don't lump me in with him. I'm shaking too, you know." Zeke looked a bit stunned, innocently asking, "Lika, you're scared. What is there to worry about, aren't you?" And all the top students gathered here together. Hearing him say it so casually like it was no big deal, Selene, Raymond, and Rangi's all fell silent, helpless, sharing the same thought. "There are actually a lot of reasons to be worried, Lord Zeke." Not dwelling on it anymore, Lika teased, asking, "Do you really think they have potential?" Zeke smiled, but answered very seriously, "Of course." Looking at Raymond and Selene, whom Lika had chosen, he genuinely praised her judgment. She successfully gathered the most promising students in the class. Lika's eye for people is pretty solid. Thinking that, he said firmly, "Their defensive and offensive abilities are both outstanding. Your test will be easy," even though he was used to Zeke's calm attitude, right? Then Rangis couldn't help muttering dryly, "Yeah, Lord Zeke is always this confident." At that moment, Freja and the other instructors approached. She casually asked, "Okay, everyone all here?" Then glancing over the students commented, "Oh, my, so you decided to form a team, huh? Not a bad choice, since some of you probably aren't fully proficient with your weapons yet." As soon as they heard Freja's voice, all the students turned at once, focusing intently on her instructions. After greeting, she held up her own spirit crystal as an example, asking, "Shall we start? Does everyone have their crystal?" Holding the crystal, she announced, "The rules: your task is to survive 1 full month in Poison Dragon Mountain while keeping this crystal intact. As long as your crystal is still whole when the test ends, you've passed. Remember, all the crystals are identical." Hearing that, the students tensed up, whispering among themselves. So standing in the crowd, unlike everyone's fear, Zeke stood quietly, deep in thought. Spotting loopholes in the rules, he had already come up with a way to exploit them in his mind. "If you lose your crystal, just steal someone else's." Freja continued, explaining the format. "After you go up the mountain and find a hiding spot, the seniors will start taking crystals from you." While she spoke, 2 boys confidently bragged to each other. One asked, "Hey, most of them probably haven't even reached 1 star, right?" The other replied, "This'll be easy as candy." Hearing about the tough challenge, the students felt another wave of dizzying fear. Freja wrapped up her speech, shouting, "Now the rules explanation is complete." Then she gave the signal. The test begins. As soon as she finished, all the students dashed up the mountain. Lika ran with the crowd, turning back to wish Zeke, "Zeke, you have to survive, okay?" Zeke hummed an acknowledgement and sincerely replied, "You guys too." Lika shouted after the 3 Rangi, Selene, Raymond, "Let's go." They all answered yes in unison and hurried after her. Right now, Zeke stood leisurely beside Freja, casually waving goodbye. "Be careful." Freja, seeing that, asked, puzzled, "Aren't you supposed to go too?" Zeke only remembered when she reminded him, mumbling, "Right, sorry, I got a bit distracted." Freja asked, suspiciously, "Distracted? You're not worried at all?" Zeke crossed his arms, casually answering, "I have nothing to worry about now." Then, "Excuse me, instructor." With that, he strolled off. Freja watched him, bewildered, muttering, "What a strange kid." Night fell, stars twinkling overhead at the mountain base. All the instructors stood guard, not daring to rest. Someone anxiously wondered, "They'll be okay, right?" Freja coldly shot back at the dragon instructor. "What is it?" He replied seriously, "This test might still be too early for the new students." Another instructor chimed in, "Yeah, they've grasped the basics, but only a few have reached any star level and their real combat experience is still lacking." Then he gave a wry smile, wondering how many will make it through. Freja calmly reassured them, "Don't worry." She analyzed. Poison Dragon Mountain has countless poisonous creatures, but the number and quality of monsters aren't that threatening. Most are between 1 star and 2 star plus. As you can see, the kids can basically handle them. The 2 instructors had no more questions. The dragon instructor said in a low voice, "Yes, understood." Freja smiled mysteriously, whispering under her breath, "But still, I'll release that thing at the very end." The dragon instructor caught a snippet but couldn't hear clearly, hesitating, "Sorry, ma'am, I didn't catch that. What did you say?" Freja changed to a breezy smile, "Nothing." Then she commanded the selected elite seniors, "Okay, time for you to move out." They immediately switched to hunt mode, charging up the mountain. Freja brushed aside her lightly blowing hair, murmuring softly, "Let's see how many survive." "I'm really looking forward to it." The senior students dashed through the dark, dense forest, swiftly climbing. Suddenly, one spotted someone, whispering, "Hey, that guy." It turned out to be Zeke, casually stopping by a tree. The boy whispered excitedly, "Found one already." Then another noticed Zeke, sneering, "Why is he still hanging around one spot after all this time? Is he stupid?" The first one who spotted him quickly hid behind some bushes, drawing his bow, aiming at Zeke. The arrow shot like lightning toward him. Zeke calmly sidestepped. His hand precisely caught the arrow. Zeke gently snapped the arrow and, half laughing, maniacally shouting, "I've been waiting for you guys." The 3, shocked by being discovered and his action, unconsciously yelped. One confused, "What the hell is he saying?" Another exclaimed, stunned, "He just caught the arrow barehanded." Without a word, Zeke charged straight at the 3. Laughing with excitement, he declared, "Now let the game begin." A series of noises echoed from the forest, followed by a monster suddenly bursting out. Selene frowned, fiercely swinging her sword at it. She thrust straight into the monster's body. But right then, another monster appeared behind Selene. "Selene, behind you." Just as it attacked, Raymond leaped in, using his shield to save her in the nick of time. Then he frowned, swinging his shield again. Raymond slammed the shield's edge, down sending the monster flying to the afterlife. On the other side, Rangi's had just taken down another monster. While everyone rested midway, someone asked, "Okay, is everyone alright?" Rangi's quickly looked up, answering Miss Lika about that. Then he was surprised by the pile of trophies beside Lika, as expected of Miss Lika. While we were panicking and screaming, "You've already taken down so many." Lika proudly held up 2 fingers. "Anyway, I've reached 2-star. This is nothing more. Importantly, since a week after the test started, you guys have gotten a lot stronger too." Selene and Raymond both reached 1 star. Selene smiled lightly. "Thanks to your help, Miss Lika." Raymond added, "Thank you, miss." Rangi stood to the side watching them with a gloomy look. "The 2 of them reached 1 star, but I'm still." Selene caught his look, comforting him. "Rangi's, you've gotten much stronger too. You'll reach 1 star soon." Raymond nodded. "Don't lose patience." Rangi smiled awkwardly. "Thanks, you guys." Then Lika walked over, suddenly praising, "Taking down a tree frog alone is pretty impressive." She encouraged while chatting, "Plus you trained with Zeke before the test to hone your spear skills. Don't worry too much, you'll reach 1 star soon." Rangi's touched, called out Miss Lika. Right then Lika looked up at the sky. "Okay, it's getting dark. Let's head back to base." Selene agreed immediately. "Yeah, staying out at night is really dangerous." By now dusk had fallen, the sun slowly sinking behind the mountains and forest. Not long after, as full night descended, a thin mist slowly spread through every corner of the woods. The group was returning carrying their spoils when Rangi's suddenly called Miss Lika. Lika frowned warily. What are you doing at our base?" As soon as she spoke, a pair of legs stepped out from the forest. Everyone in the group instantly raised their guard, drawing weapons. "What?" A tall young man with a sword at his hip smiled gently. "Finally noticed, huh?" Lika gripped the sword behind her back, confirming. "You're from the 10-year senior class, right? You came to steal the crystal." Senior straight up admitted. "Exactly." Looking at the senior's smiling face, one of the 4 thought inwardly, "Finally, the seniors are starting their attacks, and he's a 2-star. He suddenly said, "It's obvious in this test, but I didn't expect it to be Miss Lika's base." Meanwhile, Lika coldly pointed her sword at him. "Then why don't you leave? You can't take us on alone." The senior suddenly flipped his expression in an instant, replying coolly, "Who said I'm alone right now?" Lika turned her head and immediately saw another pair of unfamiliar legs appear. The blonde girl thought worriedly, 3 2-stars right behind us." One of them suddenly spoke, drawing his sword. "Even if it's Miss Lika carrying 3 deadweights, must be pretty tough, huh?" So he furrowed his brows, shouting, "Surrender now." In the next instant, he swung his sword down where Lika had stood. Luckily, she jumped aside in time to dodge. The blonde girl, hovering in midair, shouted, "Everyone!" Selene, in another corner, had already begun clashing with a 2-star senior, desperately holding her ground. Even Raymond over there was no exception, holding his shield up in front of himself until I turned back around. Rangi's gripped his spear tightly, with both hands desperately blocking the opponent's relentless combo attacks. The enemy kept attacking non-stop while yelling, "Come on!" Hand over the crystal. Already in this desperate situation, Rangi's suddenly drifted off, thinking, what should we do in a spot like this? At some point in the past, Zeke had worn a puzzled expression, asking what you asking how to take down a stronger opponent. Rangi's hugged his knees, replying, "Yes, I still don't have any star level, so if a strong enemy shows up, I want to know what I should do." Zeke rubbed his chin thinking, then suddenly blurted out 2 words, "Give up." The green-haired boy jolted. "What?" He explained, obviously right for someone with no star facing a 3 or 4-star opponent. "It's completely impossible." Rangi's exclaimed in disbelief. "No way." Zeke continued, "Anyway, against 1 or 2-star, you can still manage." Rangi's turned to look at him, a bit surprised. "Zeke said you're worried about the upcoming test, right? If my memory's correct, most monsters in Poison Dragon Mountain are 2-star. I've heard the seniors attacking us are mostly 2-star. In that case, there's still a way." The boy suddenly knelt seriously in front of him, waiting for guidance. "What way?" Zeke raised 2 fingers. "Nothing new." Under Rangi's hazy gaze, he smiled, revealing the secret exploit openings. "That's all openings, huh?" Zeke nodded. "Yes, you can take down a 2-star enemy. Even someone with no star like you can turn the tables if you find their openings." Me. Rangi's asked seriously, "But how do I hit the openings?" He answered right away with 2 words, "Take hits, endure, and keep enduring." Zeke leaned in, slightly smirking mischievously, "Keep taking hits until you spot the opponent's opening." The green-haired boy jolted, shouting, "What?" Zeke casually asked back, "Why so surprised? You're facing someone stronger than you. What do you think a weakling like you can do?" Rangi suddenly clutched his pants tightly. "Yeah, that's true, but can I even endure it?" Zeke corrected immediately, "It's not about whether you can endure, it's that you must. If you can't, then taking down a stronger enemy is just a pipe dream." His words seemed to wake the boy up. He fell silent for a moment. Zeke glanced around, advising, "So for a special opponent like Lika, me, the special lightning girl with your current self, you can endure a 2-star opponent. Don't worry too much." Rangi's bowed his head slightly, muttering, "I think so." Zeke bluntly pointed out, "Rangi's, you're still pretty lacking in confidence." Zeke stared at him, raising his voice to teach, "Believe in yourself. That's the key to getting stronger. You know, I know, but..." Before the green-haired boy could finish, Zeke pointed straight at his face, adding, "Let me give you one more piece of advice." Zeke grinned brightly, saying, "Don't overthink things." Under Rangi's unblinking stare, he spouted a whole philosophical rant. "You don't need to think about finding openings or different powers. While in battle, Rangi's still holds his spear tightly, ready to strike at any moment. Just patiently wait for the opponent to show an opening, then thrust your spear right into it, that's all." The green-haired boy, kneeling on the ground, stammered, repeating, "Thrust straight straight with the spear. Zeke replied yes, like this the secret to defeating a stronger enemy. Back to the present, the opponent fighting Rangi's couldn't help exclaiming this guy's tough as hell. Meanwhile, the boy kept blocking while inwardly reminding himself, yes, right now I'm weaker than this person, so I have to endure and wait no matter what until the opening appears. Even though his whole body was trembling, Rangi's wore a determined face, desperately blocking each strike the opponent suddenly cursed damn it. Then the guy leaped up preparing to attack the green-haired boy from above. Right then Rangi's furrowed his brows with resolute eyes, gripping his spear and thrusting it forward. A green star suddenly appeared in the center of the vortex in his eyes. Rangi's powerfully thrust his spear straight toward that spot. In reality, he pierced right into the two-star senior's abdomen, sending the guy's sword flying. There it is. In a daze before passing out, the guy muttered unwillingly, no way. Then he completely fainted in front of the exhausted, panting Rangi's. The star on the boy's chest suddenly shone brighter than before. Over on Lika's side, she furrowed her brows, charging forward. Looks like it's over on that side. The senior suddenly shouted in panic, no way, I'm also two-star. But while blocking one of Lika's strikes, he gritted his teeth, hissing, how is the gap this big? Lika suddenly recalled the book with the axe symbol, thinking inwardly, because learning axe techniques I have to put more power into the greatsword. That's why Zeke suggested axe skills to me earlier. Golden lightning bolts suddenly crackled around Lika, targeting us. Was your bad luck, senior. Seeing the lightning, his face paled, shouting no. In the next instant, she unleashed a high voltage surge, electrocuting the senior badly. It's over. After he collapsed unconscious, rolling on the ground, Lika quickly turned back. As soon as she returned, she asked worriedly loudly, is everyone okay? Lika suddenly noticed Rangi's beside her with eyes shining like car headlights. In the next moment, all four cheered joyfully, we won. Selene happily congratulated Rangi's. Congrats on reaching two-star. Rangi's, you did it. Rangi's replied emotionally, thanks, you too, I'm so happy. Lika stood to the side watching with a light relieved smile. Now everyone has a star level, we can fight opponents on equal footing solidly. But she suddenly turned away, muttering, I wonder how Zeke's doing. At the same time, in another part of the forest, continuous noises echoed from the trees in the night. Some ponytail guy was running frantically like fleeing from something. He ran crying, don't come here, damn, what the hell is that thing? Zeke's back appeared, stepping on his teammates. What kind of monster is that? A girl and two trainees stumbled out from the woods sobbing, save us, don't come near me. In another direction, a figure casually grabbed another's collar. What's wrong with him, monster? It was Zeke, smugly holding two collars in his hands. What's up? No one wants to play with me anymore. Zeke said nothing, just burst into delighted laughter. The trainees ahead ran wildly without daring to look back. That guy's insane. Why is a junior hunting seniors? Aren't we supposed to be the hunters? While running, a green-haired kid tripped, falling face first into the dirt. The kid sat up, scooting back in fear. Damn, my foot stuck. Zeke's tall back slowly approached, looking utterly terrifying. I'm bored of this pointless chase. Zeke gave a creepy smile, his eyes turning white, extending his hand like hypnotizing. Come on, stand up, come fight me. The kid's eyes widened in panic. Hey. As if losing consciousness, the kid's eyes went white, his whole body trembling. As Zeke lifted him, the boy let out a breath like he was done, his face lifeless. Zeke looked and just sighed helplessly, oh man. Standing behind, seeing the kid faint while the two ahead still running, he got angry, scolding, seriously, why are you all so cowardly and spineless? At first everyone was fighting so fiercely, don't leave me alone. Zeke lowered his arm, glancing back, pondering, right, maybe you guys should observe more carefully. Then only he remained standing there, everything around turned surreal, just standing and watching like this. My directions, fine, right then, I'll keep playing comfortably. Another footstep approached, emerging from behind a tree. It was a police officer, peeking around anxiously. What the hell is this? He stepped deeper into the forest, passing bushes, slowly looking around. I can sense his presence after spotting the senior's impressive. Suddenly he stopped, rubbing his chin thoughtfully. This is, I have to report this. His eyes landed on the green-haired kid's body sprawled on the ground. Freja suddenly appeared from the darkness with a gentle expression. Your back, report. The subordinate officers under her immediately saluted. One of the three reported, yes, after 1 week since the test began, about 30% of the 7-year class students have been eliminated. However, the remaining students are gradually adapting. The police officer stood at attention, continuing, I believe this number won't drop much further. Freja, hearing that, asked, oh, and the seniors? The officer hesitated a bit. The seniors. The officer glanced tiredly at his two teammates. She urged, come on, speak clearly. Then he answered straightforwardly, to put it simply, they're running away. Freja found it odd, not amused, but curious. Running away? The seniors running from what? She looked curiously at one officer, hesitating. On Poison Dragon Mountain. What monster could make them flee? The officer answered seriously, it's the boy, ma'am. This answer shocked her. What did you say, Zeke? Zeke, with his ferocity, has terrified the other students into scattering. Zeke is currently attacking the seniors. At first, the seniors tried to resist, but now they're all fleeing. Among the officers, one suddenly shouted loudly, who the hell is this Zeke guy? He's even escorting the seniors out. It's unheard of. An officer with a nose hair suddenly spoke calmly and seriously, I agree, his son, and even the clan head no, on the contrary, I must say. In their minds, Zeke looked terrifying, his eyes blazing with powerful aura around him. He's an anomaly, he's far beyond the concept of genius, and honestly he's more like a monster. Freja pressed a finger to her cheek, glancing away, recalling his appearance. I also find him very strange. He deliberately chose to go alone and started late unexpectedly. unexpectedly from the beginning. He wasn't the prey, but the hunter. Zeke with a bright smile and eyes showing no innocence, so like a monster, huh? Suddenly from another direction, a sound rang out, startling a female officer. This sound is. Freja stood calmly unfazed. Oh, it's here already. I've been waiting. A burly man pushed something heavy forward. Miss Freja, where should I put it? She directed. Just there, thanks for your hard work. All the officers gaped in shock. What is that, Miss Freja? This is. Don't tell me you're releasing this into Poison Dragon Mountain. Its power is 3-star. With the kids' current strength, they can't handle it at all. Freja took it lightly, smiling brightly. It's fine, it's been specially adjusted. The nose hair officer stared at her. Adjusted. She smiled vaguely. Yes, this one only attacks those who have reached 2-star. Zeke and Lika are the two shining factors mentioned, so normal ones won't be greatly affected. A voice interrupted. But why do that? Freja calmly extended her hand, answering decisively. It's the clan head's order. Hearing that, the officer froze, sweating coldly. From the clan head, a mysterious creature with glowing red eyes was caged in an iron frame. The burly man just brought. Now let's see how he handles this. He's strong enough to make veterans call him a monster. I wonder if he can deal with something like this. Freja's expression suddenly darkened gloomily. She smirked with a sinister smile. Release it at dawn. The scene shifts to bright sunlight piercing through the forest canopy. Rangis held a long tube in his hand, staring ahead curiously, while Selene also sensed something odd. Did the ground just tremble a little? Lika, walking in front, furrowed her brows, then assessed the situation with a serious face. It seems like, what is this weird feeling? A blonde boy beside her looked on innocently. Again, the seniors, huh? Rangi started blurting out random thoughts in his head, making Lika's head throb. Maybe it's a monster, like a ferocious wild boar, or something similar. Her expression grew worse and worse. But why does it feel like this? Suddenly, a tremendous violent noise erupted toward their group. From above their heads, a massive ancient tree was tilting precariously, about to fall. Lika noticed it immediately, shouting loudly to everyone around, tree falling, get out of the way. The whole group struggled but quickly dashed away from the collapsing giant trunk. After dodging, Lika looked back, puzzled. What the heck? Selene, with a terrified and confused face, realized that. Rangis trembled in fear, looking up, while the boy beside him stared intently. A monster with a body entirely made of stone and glowing red eyes appeared abruptly. A golem. Zeke was looking up with an indifferent, carefree expression. It's time, huh? He let out a sigh, then leaned against the pile of bodies he'd just captured. Around the outside, police officers were still patrolling the entire forest. I'm starting to get bored. No one left who can fight me. Really disappointing. Suddenly, from far in the forest came the urgent flapping of birds taking flight and a series of rapid crashing sounds. Zeke jolted. Everything those sounds, a strange presence, he thought seriously in his mind. It's been a long time since a monster of this level appeared. He suddenly rolled his eyes upward, thinking random things. Maybe they're hinting at something by releasing it here. The first clan head from 1,000 years ago, but for the kids' current abilities, a 3-star opponent might be too much for them. Zeke sat perched high up, shaking his head, swaying from left to right. Things like this should have been handled by the instructors before the test started, right? No, that's not it. Freja, with what seemed like a very gentle smile, but actually harbors vicious calculations. Perhaps they deliberately released it. What exactly are they planning? Damn it. So he suddenly laughed with an excited demeanor, his eyes shining like car headlights. But this is even better. Maybe I'll get some real entertainment now. Zeke immediately found something interesting, leaping down from above, preparing to leave. I can't just sit still anymore. I'm coming. 3-star thing. If only it appeared closer to me, it would be more fun. But it showed up way over there. Over here, Selene was struggling to attack forward, holding her sword in hand. Her whole body was knocked flying without inflicting even the slightest scratch on the golem. As soon as Selene landed, she looked up worriedly. No way, not even a mark. Raymond gritted his teeth, leaping high with his weapon, attacking the golem. Take this. His face twisted in frustration, seeing the golem completely unscathed. Even that did nothing, huh? Now it was Lika's turn, leaping up, swinging a flashy slash, thunder slash. One of the golem's arms had a slight crack after taking her attack. Realizing that, she smirked, slightly smug. Looks like only when I use aura can I break its outer shell, meaning this thing only someone at 2-star can handle. Rangis crept up from behind, still gripping his weapon tightly, hesitating. Lika, what do we do now? Okay, Lika, with commanding presence, spoke up. Everyone listen up. The golem still loomed right in front of them, but Lika laid out the plan. I'll distract it while I do that. Everyone run. The friends all disagreed. What? Rangis immediately stopped her firmly. No, we can't leave you behind, Lika. Lika still pointed her red flame weapon toward the golem, her face focused forward. I know saying this hurts, but you guys will only hold me back. The spot I just hit on its arm, I only managed a tiny crack by using all my aura. The golem, with its massive ironstone body, stood towering there, smoke faintly puffing from its mouth. Lika, small in stature, stood in one corner, seriously reminding everyone, with your current abilities, you can't even scratch it. Selene looked up at her softly, understanding. No way. Yeah, we can't damage it at all. Raymond stood fiercely in front of Lika, brows furrowed, determined. But we can still support you, so Miss Lika can strike more accurately. Lika jolted, not understanding, her eyes even more shocked. You guys are. Then Rangis also raised his weapon eyes blazing, stepping forward. I'll do my best too. Selene from behind smiled supportively. Yeah, if we all fight together with your lead, who knows, we might actually have a chance. Lika, hearing those words, felt a bit touched. Everyone. Lika's mouth curved into a grin, then she said softly, okay then. Alone in the back, she charged aura into her sword, while everyone in front prepared support me. Lika poured all her strength, confidently releasing energy outward. Here I come. Lika flashed like lightning, climbing from behind the group, sword in hand, surging with powerful energy, charging forward. Standing right before the golem, it stared intently at her, ready to defend. As its massive arm slammed down, Raymond charged with his shield, blocking for her. His face contorted more and more while holding it. Looks like things are really tough. Raymond then retreated. Selene and Rangis simultaneously charged the golem with weapons. While it focused on the ones in front, losing guard, Lika leaped from behind, sword raised. She shouted, then smashed down hard on the golem. Thunder Soul Greatsword technique. The strike hit dead on. A massive clash erupted, blinding white everywhere. Heavenly thunder. An explosion boomed deep in the forest with a violent shockwave. The ground endured powerful golden energy waves. As Lika landed, Rangis rushed over, asking worriedly, Lika, are you okay? She forced a casual smile, just barely, but that final blow used up all my true chi. Lika looked at Selene, supporting Raymond, concerned. More importantly, Raymond, are you alright? He struggled to reply, I'm fine. Lika felt a bit relieved then. As soon as Lika firmly said the words from behind the golem, it suddenly loomed. Everyone, let's head back to base. Suddenly, Rangis was shoved hard by Lika in one direction without time to react. So she took his place, letting the golem grab her in its massive palm. Lika. She felt suffocated pain in every squeeze of the golem. I let my guard down, it can still move after that. Selene, supporting Raymond, saw the scene, panicking. No way, it can still move after that. Raymond helplessly called her name in pain. Lika. Rangis impulsively, without thinking, charged with weapons straight at the golem. Let her go, let go. The golem just jerked its massive arm upward, then looked down at him with cold eyes. Seeing that he panicked, Lika. A sudden gale from somewhere twisted everything nearby. The golem was suddenly blasted back by immense pressure, falling backward. One side of the golem's arm shattered from the destructive force. Lika tumbled free to the ground. Rangis seized the chance, rushing to her, running deep into the forest. You okay? She panted, confused. But what the? Zeke suddenly appeared with a weird laugh, shouting loudly, what's with all the noise? Lika looked up, startled, feeling something familiar. That voice Rangis recognized, calling out Zeke. Zeke leaped out from thick bushes, moving swiftly. What's going on here? He looked excited, eyeing the golem ahead. What is this earth puppet? A moment later, a golden lightning bolt struck from the sky. This situation doesn't look good. Zeke didn't hesitate, sprinting toward it. That's lightning. So Lika's group got their first back in my prime. Distance like this is nothing to me. He was urgently eager to protect the kids. Lika's group full of potential, but against a 3-star, how long can they hold out? At this speed, he won't make it, so he braked hard. Okay, let's try that new technique I learned the other day. His hand gripped tightly around a nearby tree trunk. Let's see. Zeke poured all his strength, lifting the tree from the ground. He roared, building momentum, swinging the tree in a wide arc. He released, letting the tree rocket straight upward. Zeke watched, satisfied with the trajectory. Pretty good, huh? I thought this body might need skills. Good thing I bothered to learn. The most suitable cultivation method for him right now is dragon nurturing technique. This basic coiling dragon martial manual was given to the kids before the test, just like the close combat dragon thief method. It's not exactly a martial art, but more like a guidebook for basic movements and true chi circulation. He nodded in admiration. Turns out, it fits me perfectly after all. In my previous life, long-range attacks. Indeed, from 1,000 years ago, long-range attacks were all the rage. Zeke suddenly realized he still had to save the kids. No time for nostalgia. I need to do something now. Very quickly, he dashed through the trees, spotting Rangis and Lika. Zeke grinned, casually waving, hey, everyone's still okay. Rangis panicked, summarizing the current situation. Yes, but that's not the issue right now. That golem over there. Zeke's eyes lit up excitedly. Oh, so it's called a golem. He pointed at the charging thing, evaluating. It has aura, but no life force at all. Truly a strange being, startling the others. Zeke, careful. The golem charged thunderingly, swinging its arm down. His voice full of excitement while blocking its fist. Pretty tough shell, huh? With that hardness, probably unbreakable without aura wrap strikes, but beating it the normal way would be too boring. Saying that, Zeke smirked, flicking the golem, flying backward. The two friends, already too used to it, weren't surprised anymore. Yeah, reckless as always, huh? Boring. Why is he like this? The golem steadied itself, clenching both fists, raising them overhead. Zeke's eyes turned dangerous, assessing, now considering the size maybe. And then its attack speed was lightning fast, slamming down toward his head. The ground seemed to sink, creating a shockwave. He grinned, warning the nearby kids, it'll be pretty dangerous, so back off. The kids immediately trusted and obeyed, turning to run. Yes, sir. Zeke planted his feet, firmly resisting the push. Now then. He channeled some strength into his arms, surging up, toppling the golem. Tough outer shell, huh? In his mind, a very bold idea formed. Then let's see if the inside is as tough. Zeke excitedly leaped high. Let me test it out. His fist smashed down onto the golem's stone body. Dragon annihilation form, first technique. He continued ravaging with the second form explosive destruction shattering its body instead of the outer shell. I'll pump explosive true chi inside and make it blow up from within. He clenched his fist, standing tall. How about that success, huh? Now this is getting interesting. His eyes blazed brightly, illuminating the entire forest. But Freyja's mood was anything but pleased. Clearly the seniors' test is to attack the juniors and steal their crystals, but you, a junior, attacked the seniors. No one's ever done that. She put hands on hips, scolding loudly. Because of you, none of them got any crystals. You ruined it for all of them, forcing everyone to retake the test. Zeke's attitude stayed nonchalant. But this doesn't violate the rules, and I didn't steal anything. That made her yell. Who the hell expects a junior to turn the tables on senior? Freyja tiredly turned, sighing. Anyway, that carefree tone of yours will have to change when you stand before the clan head. Right now the two stood before a judgment door. Freyja kept striding forward while giving him all sorts of warnings. Anyway, just drop that careless attitude right now when you're standing in front of the headmaster. Zeke felt puzzled and asked why. She let out a faint mocking laugh at his reaction. Why, you ask? Freyja's tone turned dark and threatening. Because you'll get eradicated, even if you're just a kid. She looked a bit sad and worried about his future. I won't allow that to happen. He just let out a single sigh. How ruthless. She stepped forward, lifted her hand to knock on the door once. Clan head. Freyja announced loudly and formally according to protocol. Black Dragon Guard member Freyja, I have arrived in response to the summons. A deep authoritative voice came from inside. Enter. Only after receiving his permission did they slowly step inside. Excuse us. Zeke's gaze shifted toward the most powerful figure in this place. Freyja placed one arm behind her back and reported to him. I came together with Zeke. The man with silver-streaked hair looked up with sharp, piercing eyes. He began speaking as if interrogating. Why, was it you who attacked the senior students? Zeke's expression didn't waver or change in the slightest. Everyone keeps asking the same damn question, so let me ask you back. Am I not allowed to attack them or what? Baltza hadn't expected someone to dare defy him so boldly. What did you say? He slipped his hands into his pockets and explained more clearly. The only condition to pass is to survive 1 month on Poison Dragon Mountain and keep the crystal. I didn't hear any other rules, so I followed what was given and used my time however I pleased. If there were any forbidden actions, they should have spelled them out clearly before it even started. Such arrogant words instantly made Freyja's face change color. She quickly shouted, trying to shut him up. Zeke, you're... Baltza's eyes immediately darkened as an overwhelming killing intent radiated out. The ancient dragon seemed to awaken and let out a heaven-shaking roar. Freyja was crushed under the pressure until her knees buckled. This pressure, you'll die from it. Yet Zeke still stood exactly where he was with his hands in his pocket. He even spoke up loudly in warning. Stop threatening me, it's really annoying. This was the first time in his life facing a situation like this. He pursed his lips in disdain at Baltza's actions. So the only reason you called me here was to ask about these trivial things? Suddenly, an abrupt question burst out. Exactly how did you do it? Those words left him stunned and confused. Do what? He repeated the unbelievable feat Zeke had accomplished. According to the report, not only did you defeat the seniors, but you also took down a golem. Moreover, the person standing in front of me right now is shockingly calm. Baltza's eyes were filled with complicated and puzzled evaluation. How can an illegitimate child like you possess such power? He gave a light shrug as if it was obvious and began to speak. The reason for my strength, you ask? It's really simple. Zeke proudly pointed at his own confident face. There's no other reason except that it's my talent. Their eyes flashed with sparks, neither willing to back down. Finally, Baltza waved his hand, not wanting to waste more time. Your attitude is indeed as arrogant as the rumors say. However, because you managed to defeat a golem, I'll grant you a treasure from the Dragon Vault or access up to the 2nd floor of the Dragon Literature Pavilion. Choose one. Freyja on the side was completely stunned with wide eyes. What kind of reward is this? The places mentioned as rewards here, the Dragon Literature Pavilion and Dragon Vault, are repositories holding rare treasures collected by successive headmasters for over 1,000 years since the time of the founder Gilfas. The first thing countless scholars dream of entering the Dragon Literature Pavilion contains all kinds of books, including some that are now forbidden. The second one mentioned is a vast treasury. The Dragon Vault stores relics from previous headmasters, legendary weapons, spiritual medicines, magical artifacts, and much more rare treasures from different eras are all kept there. These things have become legends in this place. These facilities, originally the secret treasure of the Eldragon family, are managed with extreme strictness. Only those permitted may enter, especially to access the 2nd floor or higher of the Dragon Literature Pavilion. Requires truly outstanding achievement. She stared wide-eyed at Zeke's smug face, yet after everything, his rude attitude was still judged as outstanding. He even greedily demanded more. If that's the reward, why not give me both? How stingy. Baltza didn't bother replying and directly dismissed them. All right, leave. But Zeke wasn't about to let it go just like that. What, it's over already? I still have a lot more to say. This time, Freyja moved really fast, grabbing his collar. Wait, Zeke. She forced a bright smile, speaking for him in gratitude. We are extremely honored to receive this reward directly from you, sir. We obey, clan head. Let's go, Zeke. Zeke let himself be dragged along and casually spoke up. Then, I'll just say one more thing. The corner of his mouth curled up with wild madness as he gave advice: as long as you keep suppressing your emotions like that, no matter how hard you try, you'll never become stronger. The pressure from two ancient dragons clashing against each other made the entire room tremble. Freyja was terrified out of her mind and whispered urgently while still sounding harsh, "Please stay silent, sir. We request permission to leave." Leaving Baltza dazed in the room, what kind of pressure was that? Once they were outside, far away from the clan head's office, she finally let it all out. She raised her voice in furious anger, shouting right in Zeke's face, "What the hell were you thinking saying those words with that attitude in front of the clan head? Didn't you hear a single thing I warned you before we went in?" He frowned slightly, not remembering anything in his head. "What did you say?" "I already held back as much as possible." Freyja looked like she was about to explode on the spot. "That's what you call holding back?" She was extremely frustrated, questioning his behavior. "You can speak politely to me and the instructors, so why not do the same with the clan head?" He answered very nonchalantly. "After all, he's my biological father, isn't he?" She was speechless, unable to say more. Really, with that ability and attitude. Freyja had to force herself to calm down. "You're not an ordinary child after all. Who are you?" Hearing this question made him repeat it once more. "You're asking who I am." The corner of Zeke's mouth drew a faint smile. "I've already told you, I'm just me." It was still the same kind of answer as before, leaving her stunned. Freyja couldn't wrap her head around any of this. "All of us have drunk dragon blood, so we absolutely cannot resist the clan head who holds the power of the Dragon King, a superior species even to ancient dragons. It should be that way yet." Zeke seemed like an alien creature dropped into this place. How can this child be so calm in front of the clan head? Seeing she didn't answer, he asked, "Is something wrong?" Freyja softly denied the thoughts in her mind. "No, nothing. I should probably check the birth records more carefully." She let out a heavy sigh, not wanting to argue anymore. "So which reward will you choose? You can enter the second floor of the Dragon Literature Pavilion, or take one treasure from the Dragon Vault." Zeke held up two fingers, looking pitiful. "Both, please." She firmly refused. "No way." He pouted for a moment, choosing what was necessary. "Can't help her then." And the very next day, Zeke stood in front of a white palace building. He marveled at the beauty of the place. "Knowledge is power. Since I've been neglected for 7 years, this place is more necessary than anything. I'm lacking way too much knowledge about this era. I'm also curious about the new spiritual medicines and tools created over the past 1,000 years. But well, Rangi's ran up behind, excitedly looking around. "I can't believe I'm actually getting into the Dragon Literature Pavilion." Zeke was a bit confused by his mood. "You're that happy, huh?" He nodded enthusiastically. "Of course." His small fair face flushed red with excitement. "The close combat dragon thief style and dragon nurturing spear technique I just learned are already amazing. But this is a chance to learn even better martial skills. I never thought the reward for passing the test would be this luxurious. It's really touching." Lika stepped out from behind Rangi's, agreeing. "In the limited time, how much knowledge can I absorb? I have to work really hard." Zeke, hearing this for the first time, "Is there a time limit?" She nodded knowledgeably. "Yes, we can only enter the first floor, but the basic rules are probably the same." She shared the new info with him. "You can only borrow one book, but you can read as many others as you want within the time limit, so how you manage your time is really important." He pursed his lips, nodding. "Got it." Lika got excited again, curiously asking, "By the way, I heard, Zeke, you chose the Dragon Literature Pavilion instead of the Dragon Vault as your reward." They were a bit puzzled why he chose the Dragon Literature Pavilion. "With your personality, I thought you'd pick something from the Dragon Vault." Hearing that he looked troubled, "I thought about that too, but right now knowledge is more important to me." Lika bit her finger enviously. "Knowledge, huh? I heard the second floor has books even rarer than the first, especially martial arts books. They say the gap in level between the first and second floor is huge." Wow. But she quickly cheered up with her own strength. "I think there's nothing better than my soul-weighted greatsword technique." "Hey Zeke, are you listening?" "Hey." They walked deeper inside together and met the guard. "Your time inside the building is 5 hours. Use it wisely and strictly adhere to the time limit." Zeke followed them in, feeling a bit impressed, not sure if 5 hours is long or short. Lika quickly answered, "It can be pretty long." She shared her experience knowledgeably. "First decide which book you want to borrow, then read others within the allotted time." Rangi's looked a bit flustered and nervous. "I heard talented people can read multiple books at once, but my goal is just to find one martial arts book that suits me in that time." Stepping into the main hall was an overwhelming sea of bookshelves. "Seriously, just finding the book you need is already hard enough." They unconsciously spoke in hushed, awed voices. "This is really the Dragon Literature Pavilion, huh?" Zeke looked up at the endlessly high ceiling. "More impressive than I thought." He grinned, eagerly awaiting new knowledge. "Now, let's see what kind of knowledge is here." He stepped boldly into this massive library. "This is getting interesting." Time passed quickly. After searching for information, Zeke suddenly stared wide-eyed and shouted, "What the hell is this? No way cracks chaos magic. So much information I know nothing about." Saying that, he casually tossed the book aside and flopped flat on the floor, staring up with a long sigh. 1,000 years is really a terrifying amount of time. Thinking that over those 1,000 years, this world had connected to another world. Going back about 900 years ago, suddenly a tear appeared in the spatial wall. It was a rift, and on the other side of that rift was another chaotic world called the Realm of Chaos. In that world, monsters called Chaos rampaged everywhere to fight against chaos. The the people, they're cultivated a special energy source inside themselves. The Eldragon family fought alongside them against the chaos. And through the bonds formed on the battlefield, 4 mighty warriors from that world married into Eldragon Typona Levias, Bahamut, Fafnir. They are the founders of the 4 major branches of the Eldragon family that exist to this day. Thinking back, the furious roar earlier, shrouded in that strange black mist, and Leica's lightning halo too. So they all originated from another world. No wonder I didn't know anything. And what I'm most curious about is magic, a new technology brought from the other world. Where are the books teaching how to use it? Why isn't there a single one? Normally they should put stuff like that right next to the history books. Right as the protagonist spoke, his eyes sparkled like stars. However, his noise was immediately met with "Please maintain silence." Inside the building, someone spoke up. But that only made Zeke more curious. The voice had no aura, just sound. Could this be that thing, a technique that only transmits sound? Yet I can't sense any energy or source at all. At the same moment, suddenly the books around him seemed controlled by some power and floated up all around. Seeing that, Zeke got extremely excited and shouted, "What is that?" "Oh, using source like threads to move objects. Huh, what an interesting technique." The reminding voice continued, "Please maintain silence." How could Zeke possibly listen to that? He rushed forward, grabbing a book tightly. How can I stay quiet in front of something this interesting? Come out in front of me right now and teach me directly. Not far away, a mysterious cloaked figure was using their magic, creating threads of light that directly wrapped tightly around Zeke, then pulled him up. "Here we are, doors closing," the person reminded before directly tossing Zeke into the mysterious poem. Luckily, our boy's reflexes were quick, so he just did a quick roll to steady himself. "What the heck is that? What is that? Another thing I don't know." "Show it to me properly," Zeke said, annoyed. At the same time, Rangis, who had just arrived from behind, witnessed the scene, and his eyes went wide as he said, "Lord Zeke, what happened?" Leica let out a sigh, chiming in, "What did you do to get tossed out like that?" Zeke scratched his head, confused, explaining, "I just got a bit too excited, that's all. What about you guys? Find anything good?" Hearing the question, Rangis excitedly shared, "Yes, I borrowed a martial arts manual called Cloud Water Spear Technique, and I think I learned a simple footwork move from it." Over here, Selene also pulled out a book and said, "I learned a footwork move from this one too. I borrowed this martial arts book, Sword Technique Wildflower." Raymond stated his choice too. "I learned the Eldragon Guard style sword technique from this. The book I borrowed is also the Eldragon Guard style martial arts manual." Their choices made Zeke feel a bit choked up inside. He thought to himself, all those martial arts are just stuff I created to kill time in my previous life. Still, he nodded, "Got it. So Leica, what did you pick?" Leica replied in a cheerful voice, "This one heavy wave sword technique. They say it was created by the first clan head and the revised, improved version of Heavy Wave Great Sword Technique by the 15th clan head. I already have my family's heirloom martial arts manual, so this is just for research." From Zeke's perspective, Leica's words made him a bit pensive, thinking to himself, the 15th clan head again. Dragon Breath Style and Dragon Strike were also created by the 15th clan head. "I created a ton of martial arts manuals in the Dragon Hall, but many have improved versions right next to them. Could those be from the 15th clan head too? Man, when I first came here, I thought it'd be boring as hell. But now I can't wait to see what's next." Time flew by, 5 years later. Leica's puzzled voice echoed in the hallway. Where'd Zeke and the others go?" Someone nearby answered, "Oh, Miss Leica, Lord Zeke and his friends already headed to the training grounds, sir." Leica waved, "Thanks them again, appreciate it." Cut to the training grounds, where our protagonist was currently fighting 1 against 3 Rangis, Selene, Raymond, all by himself. Cut to clan head Baltza's office. He was tapping his fingertips lightly on the desk, talking to the person standing in front. "Is this the form of a special rift? Are you sure about this?" In response, Commander Ein of the Black Dragon Legion reported, "Yes. According to the investigation, there's an 80% chance that magic water exists inside this rift." The confident answer seemed to make Baltza hesitate a bit. He sighed, "It shows up in a tricky spot. Out of all places, why there of all places. Those who drink that water become mages. That's magic water. Those who drink it become a special type able to convert primal energy into another power, mana. The new techniques unleashed through mana will bring a revolution to the world." At the same time, fierce territorial disputes over magic water, magic springs have begun. The age of magic has arrived, where the number of mages will heavily determine a clan's military strength. Currently, Eldragon territory has 0 magic springs. For clans without magic springs, there's only one way to get magic water: conquer a special rift. Right now, Eldragon only has a few mages, including Baltza. All of them are battle-hardened elites who obtain magic water by conquering special rifts. Even so, the clan is being overwhelmed by other clans who have magic springs purely by numbers. Conquering special rifts has become Eldragon's most important mission. Over here, Ein seemed to understand the clan head's concerns and continued, "As you said, this location, Fertile Dragon Forest, is very tricky. Even just recently, there was a small-scale border conflict in the surrounding areas. Fertile Dragon Forest is a vast forest stretching far beyond our territory into another clan's land. Part of it extends into Cerberus territory, those guys who claim co-ownership and call it Fertile Hunter Dog Forest. Our friend's definitely in Eldragon territory, but given the rift's scale and position, it's highly likely it'll spill over into Cerberus territory too. Those golden hounds will probably swarm in droves." He pointed at the map on the desk as he spoke. Eldragon fully agreed, at least those mutts have good noses, they'll sniff it out soon enough anyway. Commander Ein continued with a suggestion: we need to prepare a strong enough force to control the situation in case we clash with them. Since it's a special rift, both sides have limited options. But before he could finish, Eldragon got the point. We gotta move before they even notice, right? Report to the dragon squads right away. Tell them we're holding a selection exam. Eldragon ordered sternly. Ein immediately saluted, understood. Meanwhile, little Leica had just arrived at the training grounds. She let out a sigh. You really went all out, huh? In front, Zeke stood firm, calmly facing the combined assault from all three Rangis, Selene and Raymond. All three unleashed their ultimate moves: Wildflower Sword Technique, Petal Scatter; Selene, Eldragon Guard Style Shield Technique, Stone Wall Fist; Raymond, Water Cloud Spear Technique, Water Pierce. Rangis. Right at the moment their attacks were about to land, Zeke's eyes suddenly lit up. Then he casually raised his hand to block Selene's sword. He didn't even bother dodging the spear or shield. It wouldn't even scratch the protagonist's skin. But Rangis, you're putting way too much force into that move. Doing that kills the specialty of spear techniques. Then he turned to critique Selene. Selene, you're too focused on speed and stats, so your balance is off. Learn to distribute your balance properly. Finally, Zeke turned to Raymond. Raymond, you're doing pretty good. But your passive personality hasn't changed. You should get used to attacking proactively. One more time. Yes, the group shouted in unison, but before they could launch another attack, Leica stepped up. As usual, she chimed in, what a crazy sight. Zeke turned, complaining, crazy how little miss. Leica shrugged, taking those attacks head-on without using primal energy. That's crazy, isn't it? Right after her words, Zeke blocked the attacks while yelling, nonsense. This is proper training too. Look, here's the result of the training. Even without primal energy, the body is this tough already. Miss Leica, look at this. Isn't Lord Zeke too weird? Someone exclaimed. At least he didn't tell them to stop attacking while we're talking. Another shouted. Meanwhile, someone just facepalmed, groaning. I think attacking nonstop, ignoring everyone, is the weird part. On the other side, Raymond and Selene couldn't help but admire defense like this without primal energy. That's way too mysterious. Hearing that, Leica immediately explained, Zeke isn't human, so don't lump him in with us. You guys know what the upperclassmen call Zeke? The East District Monster Kid. Hearing that title, even Zeke couldn't hold back, complaining, isn't that kinda rude to me? Brushing it aside, the protagonist asked, so you got no business with us? Or are you here to join training? Leica wasn't there to chill. She came to deliver news. Training's fine, but first I got something to say. Looks like you'll be facing kids from the other dragon squads, and probably soon. The info surprised the others. What? I figured this day would come, but it actually happened. Selene asked for specifics. The next test. Leica shrugged, who knows? Even I don't know that much. Zeke immediately asked, then how'd you know? Just watch the instructors, you can guess from their talks and actions. Leica explained calmly. Meanwhile, Zeke said he never paid attention to stuff like this. That seemed to annoy someone. Talk about a carefree air candidate. But anyway, be careful. There's a guy in the West District, one of the other air candidates, who's gunning for us. To the warning, Zeke wasn't scared. He even felt a bit excited inside. Now that's interesting. I've been looking forward to it. Time flew by. A few days later, the kids started gathering at the training grounds. The protagonist's group seemed to have guessed the reason. Zeke whispered, Leica, probably that thing you mentioned before. Leica nodded, yeah, probably. Sure enough, right after Freja's voice rang out, everyone gathered. Shut your mouths. The kids saw her and went dead silent, not daring to make a peep. Their fearful attitude pleased Freja a bit. Good, starting today for the next 3 days. You'll fight kids from the other dragon squads. Next scene, seems like the kids hadn't heard about this beforehand, so the group buzzed with excited chatter, fighting kids from other areas. That usually only happens at graduation exams, right? Why so sudden? Up front, Freja of course heard the whispers, but she had no intention of explaining much. There are reasons I can't detail yet, but I'll say this, the winners of this tournament get a special mission. Just hearing that made the protagonist's eyes sparkle like stars. Inside, he felt a surge of excitement, a special mission that makes us fight like this, huh? Unaware of his thoughts, Freja continued, it'll be a single elimination tournament with 7 reps selected from each area, east, west, north, south. You gotta decide your reps by end of today. Clear. Among the kids, someone suddenly asked, those 7 get picked from our upperclassmen block, right? Too bad for him. Freja dropped, bad news. Why do you think I gathered everyone here? I'm picking from all blocks. That shocked them even more. What? Even if you say that, what can the underclassmen even contribute? Besides us, no one can fight. They're just trash. At those words, the underclassmen looked flustered but didn't dare argue. Pretty Freja just ignored them, waving encouragingly, whatever, as long as you decide by end of today. Right after she left upperclassmen, Rick stood up, declaring loudly, listen up. The 7 reps will be picked from us upperclassmen. Obviously no objections, right? In response, how could little Leica hold back? She shot back immediately, actually I do object. It's unfair only calling upperclassmen. Shouldn't we pick from underclassmen too? I'm qualified for this. Over here, Rick saw her step up and smirked arrogantly. Well, if it isn't Miss Leica. Seems you're misunderstanding something. We're talking real strength here. You got it wrong. We're discussing ability. He spoke full of confidence, unaware that a second later Leica unleashed her power. 3 small glowing stars appeared on her 3 stars. Witnessing that, the upperclassmen group immediately paled in horror. What? 3 stars? No way, rumors said she was max 2 stars. Since when? They stammered, making Leica press the advantage. I agree, pick based on strength. So is it true there are more than 7 upperclassmen stronger than me? Answer, if not then pick from underclassmen too. Rick, knowing he was losing, still argued stubbornly, that's cause Miss Leica's an exception. The others can't compare to upperclassmen. Right then Zeke's voice cut in, you guys are too damn loud. Rick's eyes bulged as he whirled, yelling, you bastard, what'd you just say? Zeke pursed his lips, repeating, I said you guys are too damn loud. I'm saying you upperclassmen yelling your mouths off, acting like underclassmen, are trash, right? So how about we all fight till only 7 are left standing, huh? The protagonist suggested with a super battle-hungry face. Even Leica couldn't handle those words. Zeke, that'll just cause a ton of violence issues automatically. Anyway, her point was, how about we hold a prelim for anyone who wants in? Anyone who wants to join challenge in 3 days regardless of class. What do you upperclassmen think? If you're confident in your strength, no problem, right? To Leica's proposal, the upperclassmen seemed to reluctantly accept fine, though I think it'll be a total waste of time. With that, they left. Meanwhile, Leica turned to Zeke. Alright, so Zeke, you joining the prelims too? Zeke grinned, of course. Plus, Rangiz, Raymond, Selene, you 3 should join too. The other 2 didn't react much, but Rangiz's eyes went wide. Us? You want us to fight upperclassmen? Zeke seriously reminded, yeah. You've been training with me this whole time, right? If not, then what's the point? Show results now, or what's training for? Over here, swordswoman Selene was so anxious her vision blurred. Pressure. Overwhelming, she muttered, while Raymond helplessly comforted, all we can do is give it our all. Turning to Leica, she asked the remaining underclassmen, that groups as usual. With those 3, anyone else wanna give it a shot? The group whispered among themselves, still our opponents are upperclassmen, no chance of winning. I mean, there are upperclassmen at least 3 stars. To Zeke, seeing the underclassmen starring so fearfully disappointed him a bit. Geez, at least show some guts. You gain the most fighting, stronger opponents. Whatever for now. Let's just see what they've got. That so-called strength the upperclassmen boast about. The 3-star seniors came charging in with their swords drawn and started provoking them. Selfishly annoying brats, what a pain. Even if they try their hardest, they don't stand a chance in hell. They deliberately shouted loud, hey, go easy on them. Except for Miss Leica, they're just a bunch of 2-star kids. Selene, Rangiz, and Raymond over there couldn't help but look terrified. Seeing that Zeke spoke up, what's wrong? You look worried. Rangiz hesitated. Well, I mean, they're up against the top 3rd-year seniors and 3 stars at that. He cut in, you've been training non-stop with me for the past 5 years, right? He continued, you guys did really well. Believe in yourselves a little more. Hearing that, both Selene and Raymond got pumped up again and replied yes, while Rangiz was still a bit anxious but mumbled yes too. One of the 3-star seniors suddenly rushed forward, yelling, hey, cut the chit-chat already. Top students don't have time for this. Come on, I'll teach you punks your place. After a while, the students sitting on the stands were watching and whispering to each other, what the hell is going on? No idea. The 3 stars had been taken down by the trio of Rangiz, Selene, and Raymond. The other students were all shocked. Could it be the top class students this year are that weak? No, you have to say those guys are the strong ones, while the senior was floored on the ground, drooling and groaning. No way. Zeke smiled faintly and praised, good job everyone. He silently evaluated Lanji has gotten way sharper at parrying and spotting openings. Now Selene is using the combo strikes of the wildflower sword technique really well. He thought next Raymond's tactics have improved a ton. He switches smoothly between shield and sword techniques. Zeke reflected, all of them have shown excellent training results. If we keep building their confidence through real combat, it'll get even better. And he glanced at Leica and silently noted Leica has gotten stronger too. The other students, watching Leica overpower her senior sister, were left gaping, this can't be. After that, she completely defeated Marin and confidently said that should be enough. Rick was stunned. No way, how no way, our 3 stars lost to you 2-star punks. Zeke spoke up, naive, even after seeing results like this you're still spouting nonsense. He exclaimed. Zeke continued, age, stats, ranks. Zeke signaled him to shut up and said, they're just numbers in combat, only the winner decides strength, the weak lose, that's it. Rick pointed at his face, yelling, you idiot, ranks are strength, don't tell me a kid like you doesn't even know that. He calmly replied, but so what? He said coldly, destroy the heart, and no matter who it is, they die. Stunned by Zeke's words, don't turn away from the true nature of strength in battle, it's simply whether you can win or not. He roared, shut up, who the hell are you? I'm a top student, don't think some brat's sophistry works on me. I was gonna go easy since you're kids, but if you cry later, don't blame me, I won't forgive you. Zeke waved his hand, I'm sick of this verbal sparring, kids should use fists before mouths now, it's just you and me, show me what kind of martial arts you've mastered. He unleashed his power and taunted, and how far you've trained it. Rick gritted his teeth in rage. Zeke charged forward, yelling, take this. He jumped toward him, shouting, don't underestimate me, great power fist technique. But Zeke easily slammed a powerful punch into Rick's face, sending him flying 3 meters back. He praised, you trained pretty decently. The atmosphere fell quieter than ever. Leica, watching from the side, said, you dare say that after knocking him out without even checking the result. At the same time, over at the West training grounds, the students were sprawled out, groaning in pain. It hurts so much. Suddenly the iron fan was retracted. One of the air candidates candidates Venial Fafnird Eldragon sat on top of a defeated student, saying every single one of you is useless. Suddenly someone spoke up. Lord Venial. It was none other than Venial's trusted aide Alan. He reported the selection list for here is complete. Rhett stepped forward to meet Venial. He looked slightly surprised you, a junior, reached 3 stars. He shouted, yes, Venial praised, good, I like capable people. If you're useful, I'll take you as my subordinate. Rhett bowed deeply respectfully. Thank you so much, he thought gleefully. I've been acknowledged by Lord Venial. Rhett thought as long as Lord Venial is here, the West won't lose. And by making contributions in that prestigious special mission, he continued thinking Lord Venial will become the next clan head, and when that happens, I'll become the direct subordinate of the clan head. Alan stepped up saying, Lord Venial, there's something I should report. Venial asked what. He whispered, it seems Miss Leica will be joining the East District selection team, sir. Hearing that, he frowned, that meddlesome girl, always getting in the way. Venial stood up, spreading his arms as he continued, anyway, no matter how much of a genius she is, the winner will be us. We'll breeze through the special mission. Then he snapped open his iron fan and boldly declared, I'll show my brothers the seat of the next clan head. Venial smiled confidently, is mine. In the arena, tons of students had come to watch, cheers echoing across the stands. They were all watching intently. Rangis looked around nervously. So many people, Leica added. Every hall is packed like this, even though some got eliminated in the exam. She looked up high and said, but this has already thinned out quite a bit, huh? Hearing her, Rangis thought, right, the eliminated ones aren't here anymore. They're called false dragons, just like Dad. Leica turned and saw Rangis looking restless. She immediately slapped his back hard, encouraging, come on, we've been chosen as East District's reps. Be proud. Rangis softly replied, yes, I'll do my best. Suddenly Leica turned back, looking at Zeke, asking, Lord Zeke, what's up? She wondered, you're so quiet. Zeke replied, on nothing, just evaluating the combat strength of the students here. Suddenly a loud shout came from afar, as expected of Lord Zeke. Never thought you'd pull off something like that. Zeke turned to look and said, everything really has changed. Rick and Marin said in unison, we the East District upperclassmen selection members. We the East District upperclassmen selection members. Rick said, we. After that fight, we've changed our way of thinking. He declared loudly, even though I'm part of Eldragon, I genuinely respect the strong. Though a bit flustered, Zeke still replied, I see, not a bad thing, should be fine, while Rangis was crying, hugging his leg, saying, you startled me. Zeke crossed his arms thinking, except for East District, everyone else is 3-star as expected, no 4 stars. But he scanned sideways, observing and silently calculating. Zeke thought, next, now let's see what kind of ultimate techniques I'll get to witness this time. After a while, Leica was chatting with Rangis. Suddenly Sandy ran up, hugging her, calling Leica. She panicked. Sis Sandy. Zeke, who was whistling, also noticed her. Sandy pinched Leica's cheeks, asking, long time no see, how have you been? No one's bullying you, right? She shyly pushed her away. I'm fine, really fine. Rangis puzzled. Miss Leica, who is she? She replied, this is my cousin Sandy Typhona, the beloved daughter of the Typhona clan head, Sandy Typhona. Rangis, Selene, Raymond were all shocked, thinking Typhona, meaning one of the 4 great clans. Rangis couldn't hold back, oh my god. Sandy asked curiously, Leica, who are these kids? They're my teammates, my friends. Hearing that she looked indifferent, friends, really, getting along is good, but Sandy coldly judged, aren't they unqualified to be companions of an heir candidate? Zeke from afar said, you'll know once you fight. She spoke up, you are. Leica quickly introduced, this is Zeke, he's a candidate like me. Sandy replied, a candidate, don't tell me, the rumored illegitimate child. He walked over, confidently smiling at her. Sandy sneered, I never thought an illegitimate like you would still be alive. Leica quickly intervened, wait sis Sandy, why say that? She retorted, oh come on, even if he's illegitimate he's still your opponent, right? And you call him a friend with that attitude? You won't beat the other heir candidates. Moreover, none of those kids reached 3 stars. Is the East District's quality that bad? Trash. Hearing that, Rangis, Raymond and Selene looked flustered, while Zeke pursed his lips. If you keep underestimating them like that, watch out, they might flip the script and leave you stunned. Sandy said coldly, what did you say? Just an illegitimate with nothing but the clan head's blood, no backing. She pointed accusingly, you're really advising me. He replied, just a warning. Sandy exclaimed, you. Suddenly North District Rep Edgy's Vanblade stepped in to stop. Enough, don't cause trouble for other teams. He glanced at Zeke, while Rangis stammered, that person is Edgy. Sandy shouted, don't butt in, we're talking important stuff. He smiled, I can't ignore it, the selection battle is about to start. Up on the stand, students had gathered in full, excited for the upcoming fights. Suddenly, a tall man in a black cloak and hat approached. He called out attention. All the noisy students fell silent, focusing on him at the signal. He spoke, alright, Golden Dragon Legion Captain Teach, Mentric Instructor, declared loudly, from this moment, the selection battle begins. Teach announced the rules. This will be a tournament-style elimination between the 4 districts. First, the 4 districts split into 2 brackets. Winners of each bracket face off in the finals. Fights are one-on-one duels. Each district sends out members in a predetermined order. Among the 7 participants per district, the first to defeat 4 opponents wins. He continued, once the battle starts, no changing the lineup order. Consider arranging the sequence part of the strategy. And one last point. He emphasized, those selected in this battle will be assigned a special mission. This special mission holds extreme importance to the Eldragon clan. Whoever takes it on will make a huge contribution to the Eldragon clan. clan, the students all thought to themselves contributing to the Eldragon clan means a huge step toward becoming clan head. Teach raised his voice now. I'll decide the matchups. Representatives from each district step forward in order and draw a stone from this box. He shouted loudly. West District Representative Venial stepped up and drew his lot. He shouted loudly. West District Representative Venial stepped up and drew his lot. After drawing a stone, the instructor said, "Alright, you can return." Leica saw him and immediately reacted, "That guy." Zeke wondered, "What's up, you know him?" She replied, "Yeah, he's the West District heir candidate I told you about." Venial Fafnirled Eldragon. He placed his hand on his chin, pondering. Not just Venial, overall, the West District has a ton of strong fighters. He thought further, the other districts have trained well too, but everyone can probably feel the power gap. Zeke glanced toward Retin and silently noted, "Still, that guy's a face I haven't seen in a while." He smirked inwardly. Back at the entrance exam, he had some skill, but didn't expect him to reach 3 stars at that age. He must have trained really hard. Impressive. Retin also caught Zeke's gaze. He gritted his teeth. Why him? Suddenly from the stands, some students shouted, "Hey look, isn't that Rangi's? Why's that dropout standing over there?" Raymond turned to reassure Rangi's. "You okay?" He stammered, "I'm fine." Teach called next North District Representative. Edgies exclaimed, "Our turn." After he drew, Teach called again, "Alright, next South District Representative." After the South District Rep drew, Teach finally called last East District Representative. Leica said to Zeke, "Hey Zeke, they're calling you." He looked confused. "Me?" She replied, "Obviously, you're the strongest, Zeke." The others nodded in agreement, but Zeke seemed flustered. "No, these events should be for the kids." Leica waved her hand. "What were the same age? Hurry up." Seeing Zeke go up, Sandy questioned, "Wait, why is that illegitimate going instead of Leica?" She replied, "Because he's the strongest among us." She didn't believe. "You're kidding, he isn't even 3 stars. Sandy continued, "This is also a succession power struggle between me and Venial, you know, in this situation you." But Leica interrupted, "It's fine, sis." She confidently said, "We're really strong, you know." Instructor Teach continued, "Now representatives from each district, infuse your true power into the stones you just drew." Zeke held out his stone and looked. The stones from all 4 district reps lit up simultaneously in blue and red colors. Teach announced, "This will decide the bracket's first match, East District versus North District." He continued, "And West District versus South District." Rangi's thought inwardly, North District. He glanced at a big, burly, ferocious-looking guy on the other team. Leica replied, "Yeah, that's right, but..." She muttered, "Didn't expect to face sis Sandy right in the first match." Sandy boldly said, "Leica, this is a great chance to make you wake up." She pointed straight at Leica and declared, "I'll crush you completely, then you'll remember your place and purpose." Though a bit worried, she still declared strongly, "Come at me." Edgy smiled and said, "Hey, looks like our first match is against you guys. I'm really looking forward to it." Zeke casually replied, "Let's make it a good one. Seems we get along." He responded, "I'm really looking forward to this match too." Venial lounged arrogantly on the stand. Students from other districts did the same. The instructor announced first match, East District versus North District. Zeke and Edgy smiled, looking at each other. Rick clenched his fists, saying, "Lord Zeke, I'll definitely win." Leica worried, "I wonder if Rick's okay. He looks super tense." Zeke replied, "Yeah." Teach turned to both sides, asking, "Both sides ready then?" He raised his hand high, signaling begin. Rick immediately leaped forward, throwing a punch at his opponent. Zeke crossed his arms, observing, and said, "Now let's see how it goes." Leica beside him asked, from that look, "It's gonna be tough, right?" He answered, "In battle, there's no such thing as guaranteed." Zeke turned to Leica confidently, saying, "Except for me, of course, my win is absolute." Hearing that, she replied, "I wasn't talking about you." He turned back, focusing on the match, and evaluated anyway. In terms of skill, the North District's fighter isn't much different from Rick, so as long as he fights normally, he'll win. Leica responded, "Normally, yeah, but this is our first time fighting in front of so many people, plus the pressure of representing the whole team." Meanwhile, in the fight, Rick seemed to be taking more hits and getting injured. Zeke smiled, saying, "True, but for them." He commented on Sandy and Edgies, "Those two are exceptions." Probably. Leica added, "Sis Sandy," and he continued, "Those two are close to 4 stars already." Zeke continued, "They won't be shaken that easily." In his mind, he thought Sandy, Leica's cousin, probably uses bloodline techniques. Too good experience for Leica. The match ended with Rick completely knocked out, lying face down, covered in wounds. The instructor announced, "That's it, first match, North District wins." Seeing that, Marin fearfully exclaimed, "I have to win." Marin. Leica comforted, "Don't stress too much, you'll be fine." After a while, Teach announced, second match, North District wins. Both Marin and Rick were beaten, black and blue, trembling and crying. They said to Zeke, "Lord Zeke, sorry we..." He interrupted, completely overwhelmed by the arena atmosphere. "Right, both softly, yes, sorry." Zeke reassured, "It's fine. If this were a real battlefield where life and death hang by a thread, it'd be different." He smiled, saying, "But here it's a place to learn by testing your strength, not to kill each other. Lessons like today can only be experienced safely here." Zeke tried to lift their spirits, advising, "This failure will become nourishment for you on the real battlefield. In the future, hone your skills." Marin and Rick in unison, "Yes, understood." He continued, "But still, we've lost 2 matches in a row, right? So the next one is crucial, right?" He turned, asking, "Right?" Rangi's hearing that, he panicked, "Don't make me more nervous. I've been freaking out since morning." Rangi's hesitated, and worse. He looked at the most ferocious-looking member on the North team. Rangi's hugged Zeke, crying, "My opponent is that scary senior. I'm terrified to death." He asked back, you fought seniors before when we formed the team, right? Rangi's wailed, the East District seniors aren't scary like that. He cried, more fighting such a scary opponent in front of this huge crowd. Zeke patted his head sighing, oh man. He put an arm around his shoulder, asking Rangi's, look at your opponent, what weapon is he using? He looked over and replied, let's see, sword probably. Zeke smiled, saying, exactly, you're fighting a sword user, don't think anything else. He thrusts parry. He continued, he slashes upward, retreat, he swings down, step in and thrust. Zeke instructed, just focus on handling the weapon right in front of you like always. Rangi's eyes lit up as if he'd found a truth. He exclaimed, like always. Zeke smiled, looking at Rangi's, silently nodding. Rangi's focus is really impressive, but right now he still needs a little guidance to stay steady. Once he can naturally enter that state, he'll go even further. He thought, wonder how much this match will help him improve. Meanwhile, students on the stands kept mocking Rangi's, look at the size difference, that scrawny kid can't possibly compete. Those words seemed to fuel Rangi's, making him angry and more serious. Teach shouted loudly, begin. Right at the start, his opponent charged straight with sword in hand, unleashing 3-leaf sword technique, fastest blade. Facing the huge blade in front, Rangi's didn't waver at all. He easily dodged the opponent's attack. Seeing that he roared, don't think you can escape. He unleashed 3-leaf sword technique, twin fang branch at Rangi's. This time, he leaped high to evade. Leica worriedly called Rangi's Selene, commented the opponent's closing in to cut off Rangi's preferred range. Raymond turned, asking Lord Zeke, is Rangi's okay? He smiled, no need to worry, look at Rangi's eyes. He said he's more focused than ever. At the same time, Rangi's dodged the next attack too. Zeke emphasized more than ever despite the opponent unleashing combo ultimate moves, 3-leaf sword technique, storm leaf dance. Rangi stayed incredibly focused, his eyes shining bright. Rangi's used cloud water spear technique, drifting clouds, flowing water, countering the opponent's move. Seeing that, he exclaimed in shock, what? Rangi's continued cloud water spear technique, and then mad current pierce. He truly sent his opponent flying, crashing down, foaming at the mouth. Instructor Teach announced match over. Third match, East District wins. Rangi sweated nervously, exclaiming, phew, that was close. While Zeke smiled confidently, saying, alright then, time to start the comeback.